5 o'clock. Do we have a chaplain?
Yep.
Could we bow our heads, please? Almighty God, thank you for this day. Grant us your presence and let your peace rest on us. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather and work for the betterment of our county. We ask for your guidance as we address the important matters before us. Grant us clarity of thought, compassion in our hearts, and the strength to make wise and just decisions. Help us to be mindful of the needs of our community and to use our time and resources effectively. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting and upon all those who are present. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Can we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to call the July 7th meeting of the Burleigh County Park Board to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Boehm.
Here.
Commissioner Herman.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or subtractions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve. Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Boehm.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Consideration of June 16th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Boehm.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, item 5, Commissioner Munson of Knifel Boat Ramp ADA equipment.
Yay. Thank you, Chair. And tonight, we have both Jeff Goss from Wheelchairs and Walleyes, as well as Dave Mayer from Bismarck Parks and Rec. And so we're going to hear Jeff first about the opportunity that is being presented to Burleigh County.
Commissioners, thank you for extending this invitation for me to speak before this commission. I hope you all received a copy of my letter and fully understand what it is that I'm doing here. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have whenever you require. If I was told 1 year ago today that I would be speaking to the Burleigh County Commission regarding the addition of our wheelchair ramp and lift project on the eve before I was flying to Buffalo, New York for a media event and announcing the collaboration for wheelchair ramp projects on Lake Erie, I would have asked you if you fell and bumped your head. But that's exactly where we stand today. Quite frankly, our organization is one that should not need to exist. In many respects, I believe that ADA wheelchair ramp projects that we built and donate should not even be necessary. I believe that our loved ones with adaptive needs deserve to always be thought of while constructing projects for the general community. Keeping in mind that ADA standards are minimum standards, that does not always translate to the most logical or needed. That being said, I am thankful for this commission that they have made the immediate attempts to remedy any lack of recreational access as soon as they became aware and this was an issue. That shows us that this commission is taking time to focus on the whole of the community. As I stated in my letter, the driving force behind our organization is to create an environment where anyone, regardless of their physical abilities, can enjoy access to recreational boating and fishing within our state's waterways. Up until recently, true access to North Dakota's lakes and rivers by individuals in wheelchairs was non-existent. When I say non-existent, I mean quite literally there was no ability to safely lift a wheelchair user and their chair into a boat. The most recent CDC data, the most recent data from the CDC showed that 12.2% of adults from the ages of 18 to 64 years old have what's called an ambulatory disability. An ambulatory disability refers to the impairment that prevents or impedes walking. That means that of the 599,192 adults in North Dakota, more than 73,000 have reported a mobility disability. If we reduce that down to Burleigh County itself, that means over 9,300 citizens of this county alone have an impaired ability to walk, balance, or climb independently. Our organization's mission has been to change the national landscape of recreational boating and fishing on our public waterways. In working towards this mission, in the last 12 months, Wheelchairs and Walleyes has built and donated 3 of the most innovative wheelchair ramp and lift structures ever designed, making North Dakota the most inclusive and accessible state in the country for wheelchair users who enjoy inland lake recreational boating and fishing. In continuing our mission of accessibility and inclusion for our community's most underrepresented population, my organization seeks to make this area, the area that the entire country looks as the capital of North Dakota, the beacon of the national movement towards giving all of our disabled children, paralyzed veterans, elderly loved ones, and mobility impaired family members the one thing that they have been denied for far too long: independence. We have partnered with multiple local, national, and international companies in order to not only engineer, construct, and donate these projects, but to do it in a manner that is debt-free from the community. Organizations like Superior Walls of North Dakota, Verity Homes, Siteworks, Moritz Sport and Marine, Shields, Aqua Creek Products, Houston Engineering, and Paulke Steel are just a handful with the mission and desire to bring these projects to light in our community. Our organization seeks to work hand in hand with the leadership of this county to not just create and donate these projects to this county's waterways, but to do so in a manner that displays the very best of North Dakota. That's the love of our fellow neighbor. When we are done, North Dakota will literally be the most wheelchair accessible state for lake and river recreation than any other place on earth. Thank you again for hearing my speech.
Thank you. So just to kind of fill in a little bit behind the scenes, Wheelchairs and Walleyes has offered to donate their ramp, their accessibility equipment to Burleigh County to be placed at one of our facilities. Roughly, it's about a $150,000 donation. We just need to find a place to put it. Our thought in looking at talking with Dave with Parks and Rec, we really think Knifel is the right place to do it. We've looked at a few spots. If we work into the existing parking lot, that's going to take up 4 boat parking spots. And I don't think we should do that. First of all, let me ask the commission. Anybody have any issues accepting the donation?
No, you're aware that I
Right.
support
Well, you and I are in the
this,
same boat
yeah,
and in the same place.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it.
So let me make the motion first. I would move that we accept the donation from Wheelchairs and Walleyes of the ADA accessible ramp.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the donation. Any further discussion? I just want to say thanks for what you're doing here. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Boehm.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. The reason it's significant to me is my brother is disabled, and he saw the one up in, I think, Beulah Bay, and then he brought it to my attention, and I really would like to be able to fish with my brother, because he's Marine Corps disabled, and he has a real problem getting in and out of the boat, so I appreciate it.
You know, we've had stories like that shared from all over, and one thing I have found is the amount of people that, and it's quite honestly, it's a lot of paralyzed veterans, a lot of disabled veterans, share a quick story, but I had a gentleman while I was leaving on my way to Devil's Lake. We were going to build the project in Devil's Lake, and a gentleman in a UTV was literally driving down the highway, and I was pulling our Wheelchairs and Walleye's boat, and he stopped me at a Cenex. And he comes to me and he said, 82nd Airborne Ranger. He said, I've been disabled. He was like, I'm disabled from Vietnam. And he said, I have been struggling a lot. And I think that this is something that will work for me to be able to get out, get on the water, enjoy time on the water. And he said, but more importantly, I think my brothers would enjoy this as well. And so he said, can I volunteer? Can I do anything? I don't care what it is. Anything. He said, because I will be able to then go take my brothers this information and help them. And I am blessed enough to be shared stories of family members. I just got a picture of a grandfather who hasn't been able to fish for 23 years, and they were able to get him on the boat. I'm blessed to be able to see stories like that, and I truly believe that while we are also dealing, with children and loved ones with adaptive needs, I believe that we have an older population that, quite frankly, they don't want to be a burden. They don't want someone to help them. They want to be able to get in and do it themselves. They want the independence. They want the ability to say, I did it. A wheelchair is a piece of equipment, just like a long rifle. It's just a piece of equipment. They want to be able to climb into the boat themselves. And I truly believe that in today's day and age, with the mental health crisis that we're having with today's veterans, I really truly believe that this is something that hopefully will change the national landscape. But not only that, it will make a statement to the country that we may be a small state, but we're the leader. We're on the tip of this when it comes to the country.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff has brought some of the information we talked about in the last week, and this is going to progress pretty quickly. If we can pick the site, they would love to do a ribbon cutting the weekend after Labor Day at this facility. So this is a project that will go very quickly. So the next thing I'm going to ask the commission to do is allow me as the portfolio holder to finalize the site with Parks and Rec. We know we're going to need two handicap parking stalls with a sidewalk that goes to this facility. That is going to cost Burleigh County some money. That part of it, that will be ours. But the rest, Jeff and his team's got taken care of. So, with that, let me make that motion. I would move that we allow the portfolio holder to work with Parks and Rec and Wheelchairs and Walleyes to find the right placement for this facility, for this equipment out at Knifel Boat Ramp.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Commissioner
So,
Bachman.
with a project like this, because we are going to incur some other costs, as far as some other partnerships or, whether it's a concrete company or some other opportunities out there that community involvement would like to be part of this, is that part of the discussion of going out and seeing if we can partner with some other donations in kind
Yes.
to offset these costs?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
have you had any cooperation or any financial help from Garrison Diversion? Have you tried or anything like that?
We actually, Garrison Diversion assisted us on the Devil's Lake project.
Great.
They were instrumental in that, and that leads into Commissioner Munson's discussion. We actually, on that project, the scope expanded quite significantly, and we also donated a 5-foot wide by 60-foot long walkway and a 25 by 84 ADA parking facility, and it was quite extensive, and so to answer your question, yes, I believe that Commissioner Munson and the team will work with Garrison Diversion, because my understanding is they are enthusiastically behind it, and that also I truly do believe that with this we will have the ability. Our biggest problem is timeline, but we will have the ability to find donors of concrete and flat work, I do not foresee a situation where there would be an expense to the county. But that is, we are working through a tight timeline. But I do believe that we will be able to work with Garrison Diversion and be able to get all those things donated at no charge.
Okay. We're a very conservative group, so I just always want to make sure we're all on the page that we may have some costs, because I don't want to come back later with a bill and say, hey, will you pay this?
Especially correct, especially when we have ancillary costs. If we have like trees have to get removed or something along those lines. But pretty much everything else that we really try to work. The focus of my organization that I founded was this is about a community coming together. We really focus on grassroots efforts. We focus on mom and pop. I mean, Paulke Steel, they're your guys' steel supplier in Bismarck. Those guys have donated to virtually every product that we have. They're phenomenal steel company. We really focus on that first because I believe that when there's community ownership, there's community pride. They can say, we built this, veterans groups, other civic groups. So that's why when I talk to Commissioner Munson, I've talked to other commissioners, I pretty much say, look, you give us the space and the access. That's what we want. That's what we're asking for, the space and the access. Let your community build it. And that's what we're here for.
Commissioner Schwab?
I was just gonna say, I'm glad you brought up the Garrison Diversion, and I'd really go after them, because they're getting $750,000 a year from us. They can pick up everything you need.
Well,
And if they don't want to, have them call me up.
the last information that I was relayed was when they did the Garrison Diversion District. Of course, it's a 75-25 cost share. They cost share 25%, so it's not an enormous amount, but it's an amount nonetheless. But the information that was passed to me was that they were enthusiastically behind it, and to make sure that any of their other member counties that were involved in this project to make sure that they were reached out to. And I believe it's over the 3-year grant process, so you have the ability to add other projects into it as well.
Great, perfect. Well, Jeff, again, from Burleigh County Commission, for me personally, I want to thank you for your kindness and for your willingness to work with us on this quick project, and we'll get her done.
I appreciate it. I want to make sure one other quick thing. When we do the ribbon cutting, there's an integral part of this entire thing. It's really a big focus of ours is what we do when we do the ribbon cutting. That day, we have what's called the Children's Mobility Awareness Day Festival. And what that festival is that we try to basically make it to where the entire community, now obviously we've never done something with the community of 100,000 people before, but we say the entire community, we make the entire day a free event for the community. So face painting, bubble guns, free food, hamburgers, hot dogs, everything that you can possibly think of. And we focus it, we tailor it around children, young adults, paralyzed veterans with adaptive needs. So all of the games, everything that we do is focused around adaptive needs, because we believe that, quite frankly, they're forced to adapt to our world every single day. So we can give them one day where we adapt to theirs. So with this, once we do this ribbon cutting, it will be a blowout party like you've never seen before, where we expect thousands of people, and we will feed every single one of them. And it will be free to the community as a whole.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion and a second on the table, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes?
Commissioner Boehm.
Yes.
Commissioner Herman.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Have a
Appreciate
safe
it.
flight.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, is there any other business for the Burleigh County Park Board?
We want to bring Travis up to visit about nightfall camping.
I think that would be appropriate, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's here.
My name's Travis Jensen. I'm glad you guys are talking about Kneifel tonight. I do know how you guys like your information. Apologize I didn't reach out sooner. But here's a little information on what I would like to discuss tonight. It's all public information, except for the one picture in the packet. I did take myself to show you guys what the site does look like and the occupants of it. So my neighbor brought to my attention that we have a registered sex offender living down at Kneifel Campground. That's concerning to me as a resident that lives in the Misty Water area. So I drove down a week ago to just check it out, see if somebody was there, what it looked like. Because we've had problems for years down there. We had a gentleman that camped down there for most of winter. He basically made it his living area. And I do have in the packet, I couldn't find the most revised policy for Burleigh County, but it does say 14 days out of 30. This individual has, for his registry, the campground. That is his address. And then tonight we're talking about putting a handicap accessible, something that costs a lot of money that we want to take pride in, that we don't want to see vandalized in that area. The reason I'm bringing this up is, as many of you know, the city of Bismarck has went through and made an ordinance regarding homelessness and camping within the city limits. I don't want to turn individuals away from finding shelter in these areas, but I would ask the county commission to consider discussing the issue and how we can, as a county, kind of mirror what the city has done. Because unfortunately, with the city coming up with their ordinance, it is going to push people out. And we do have areas in Burleigh County that are on that outlying area that are within walking distance of Bismarck. So as a resident, one of my fears is these people are going to overtake these areas. And I have been reassured that these areas are monitored. I would disagree slightly that they are monitored because, as I said, as a resident in that area, I did witness somebody camp there for the majority of the winter. They made it a permanent residence throughout this last winter. We see the same thing down in Apple Creek Wildlife Management Area. These places used to be family-friendly areas, and now you go down there and you see glass, needles, condoms, signs that we have less than favorable family-friendly things going on. So I would ask the county commission to maybe, especially the park board, to have that discussion of how we could maybe refine our ordinances to get out ahead of this. The city of Bismarck's already had the discussion. They've passed it. I think Burleigh County should at least have the discussion to see how we are going to also combat some of what's going on. Like I said, we have a sex offender living up there. I see kids riding their bikes, fishing. That's a family-friendly area. And to allow sex offenders to set up camp and live there, that's concerning as a resident of Burleigh County. And I'd ask you guys have an in-depth conversation about that. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Okay, you had told me that you were working on that.
I can give you an update as far as this individual. We know he set up camp June 20th. July 4th would have been his 14 days. As of this morning, we did tag his tent that he had 24 hours to remove his equipment from the facility. I have notified the sheriff's department as well to be prepared in case. I have asked the state's attorney to remind us what we can or cannot do with his possessions if he is if he's not there, if he hasn't been back. The last bit of information I have is he hasn't been there for the last week. So we may or may not be able to contact him, but state's attorney lawyer will let us know in the morning what we can do with his possessions if he's not there. And the sheriff's department has said that they would help any way we need.
Okay.
So
Keep me informed.
I do appreciate Travis's letting me know that this is, that he, this is the situation out there, so.
Yep. Just keep me informed.
Yep,
of that
I will.
language.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Schwab.
I would like to know, being that we're on this topic, if he's in a camper down there, that's not an address. I thought they were supposed to have addresses. I don't know.
You're talking about sex offender registration?
Yeah, or the sheriff could jump on that one.
Not a physical location.
So there is specific instructions for homeless people when they have to register as sex offenders, and they can register as a van down by the river if that's what they have and that's where they're at. The thing is, they have to be specific about where the location is, and they have to come in every 3 days to the law enforcement agency to re-register or reconfirm that they are still at that location. And if they move from that location to a different location, they have to register that new location. But that's what the law says regarding homeless sex offenders.
Has this guy been complying?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm actually in touch with our sex offender deputy that handles this and waiting on a reply from him. This is the first we heard of it, at least at my level today. He did register. I'm trying to get the details on what's going on up there. Unfortunately, we had quite the day at the courthouse with computers crashing, power going out, transformers blowing up. I did talk to Commissioner Bittner. We closed the courthouse at 2 o'clock. It's been a day.
I know all about that. You wouldn't even let me in jail.
You should have called. All the employees went home and I stayed, so.
Commissioner Bachman.
Kelly, just, Sheriff, what is the typical protocol with what we've got on the books right now as far as, because after the 14 days, and if somebody's not there, you tag the material, at what point is it removed because we either consider it abandoned or discarded or garbage at that point? So what does that look like from who's got to go pick that stuff up?
And so probably, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, obviously this is an issue we work very closely with Dave with Bismarck Parks and Rec on. Last week we had a situation at Sibley Park where basically the owner of the camper went to jail. It's coming up on the 4th and we're trying to work this out. Ultimately, we just towed the vehicle or the camper. So I would say at some point it becomes abandoned property, and that'd be a question we'd work with our legal advisor on, Julie. Typically we would take possession of that stuff, maintain it, provided it's safe to take, maintain it for a period of time until it's determined abandoned, then we'd either sell it or dispose of it.
Well, my question actually relates a little bit more to, like a tent and cleaning up the site. It's not really the job of law enforcement. You guys are busy doing other things to clean up an abandoned site, basically. And with what may or may not be there from a safety perspective, that was kind of what I was getting to is, do we have a protocol in place for reclamating a site like that was abandoned?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and maybe Dave and the Park Service has dealt with this more with the city park side. We don't have this happen a lot. Surprisingly, to kind of reference back to what Travis has said, this is an issue we've dealt with my 35 years in the department, is these recreational areas have problems. And it is the constant battle between a great recreation area that families can go and enjoy and the desire of people to go down there and break the law. Kimball Bottoms, the desert area, that is a prime example. Sometimes we just got to make it work, and I know it's, I always joke, when you don't know who else to call law enforcement, we'll figure it out. But, fortunately, we figure our way out through these things. Like I said, that camper was probably one of the biggest deals we've dealt with recently. But in the end, you want to make sure that, you make the best decision. So I don't anticipate a lot of problems with this campsite, but it is to kind of get back to Commissioner Schwab, there is a surprising amount of obviously homeless people when you deal with the sex offenders, because they sometimes have difficulty getting a job, have difficulty, maintaining a normal life. And a lot of people would say rightfully so, but one of the dilemmas of society.
Commissioner Schwab.
I just see it happening more and more often, and given the city's new policies, I can see that we're going to have some more issues as well. So, whatever we need to do to get ahead of that.
And Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, one thing I'd say real quick is, my understanding of that city ordinance is they can't be camping in public areas on public property. So really, they still are going to be able to go to campgrounds if they comply with the
Right.
rules of the park. And so we'll still have those 14-day issues.
Can we shorten that time? And the reason I ask is, once something gets started like this, it attracts more and more and more. Who come up with a 14-day limit?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I think that's just been the park rule. I think even nationwide, like you look at national parks, you can stay 14 days, I believe. State parks, I think you can stay 14 days. So it's just kind of been a rule where, some people go on a vacation or are traveling. And so, again, what we deal with all the time is you have a good intended rule or law, and then you have the lawbreakers that push the issue.
Commissioner Munson.
Well, and I think, as Travis has asked us to do, the ordinance that we will review has that time limit in it, and we certainly can change. If it's our ordinance, we can change that date. So that'll be something we will review in the future.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I would just say that I personally wouldn't oppose you lowering that, because I don't think I would say we probably have more problems than good. It's not like, somebody going to Fort Lincoln and staying 14 days and then going to another state. These are free camping areas. We run into the same thing at the desert. The Apple Creek Game Management Area, many years ago, Game and Fish put up a fence to try and make it more of a day use area. And for the most part, that has worked out. We went through a period of time where they kept cutting the fence, and we told them just keep putting it back up. They'll get tired. And they did eventually, so knock on wood.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
in defense of you and your deputies, I'd go to the boat ramps every couple weeks. I'll drive through all of them at one time or another. And I was down at Knifel and I saw his tent and there was nobody around. But I did see a deputy sheriff pull in, and I visited with him briefly, and away we went. So there was people down there, at least when I was there.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thanks, Commissioner Woodcox. And I can attest those recreation areas are probably the most highly patrolled areas in our county, just because of the issues we have.
Okay, thanks for all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that? Any other business? I'll adjourn.
Dave's waving. Dave wants to talk.
Oh,
I've never gone to a.
well, you were looking like a post there.
Chairman Bittner and Commissioners, I just wanted to give an update for all the boat ramps. Since we last met, the dredging was completed at both Kimball and at Knifel, popular topic tonight. Also, since we last met, there were a couple of storms that rolled through the county, so I wanted to update the commission on where we stand as far as cleanup and what we did incur at the boat ramps. Mainly minor things, just to, a few larger trees that had come down, or some large limbs off of some trees. No structures were damaged, because there aren't a ton of structures on the boat ramps themselves at all, but just everything's been cleaned up, everything's been taken care of, and everybody's ready to recreate again at those locations. I guess as far as the previous topic, our staff does go out and monitors when we do have new campers at every one of the boat ramps. They note it, so we know when the 14 days does come and when it does go. And we do post those notifications to the campers that it is time to move on when that does happen. Just wanted to make sure you're aware. And I do know that, per Commissioner Woodcock's comment, that I do know that our staff does see the Sheriff's Department out there doing the same thing. So they do monitor them as well. They do note the dates. And I know our staff does talk with the deputies every once in a while and say, do you got this date? You know, I missed this one. Did he come in this date or that date? And so they do share information.
Commissioner Schwab.
I'm wondering about this situation down there with this fella. Do you think that there should be some people in the county working, and the park board, working together on a different set of rules, so, you know?
Chairman Bittner, Commissioners, Commissioner Schwab, I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that question. It might be.
Well, you would be the one that would be cleaning up the mess.
Well, it depends on what your question is, sir. As far as cleanup is concerned, the Park District, our staff have dealt with unauthorized camping in Park District property, and when that happens, we do follow the same procedures. We do tag them, give an opportunity for them to move on, collect their materials and move on. If they do not come and collect their materials, we do pick it up and keep it for a reasonable amount of time, which is what the Century Code states. It's basically unclaimed property. We keep it for a reasonable amount of time. If somebody comes and gets it and can identify it, they can take it with them. I think in this case, we have never had to deal with that at the county boat ramps. Up to this point, it's been a camper or a vehicle where they can move along on their own. In this case, our staff could probably do the same thing. We do follow, we're pretty cautious. We make sure that there aren't things that could explode or, stick us or anything like that, to make sure that our staff is safe. But I think we would feel safe collecting a tent and making it available. I don't think that the Bismarck Park District should keep it. I think it should be, if we could go to the county impound to be maintained, since it was found on county property, I think that would be the appropriate thing to do. But I think we would be fine if we get to that point where it does need to be collected and removed. We can work with the Sheriff's Department to do that.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time, any other business for the Burleigh County Park Board? Okay, I'm going to adjourn the Park Board. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I'll call the July 7th, 2025 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item of business is roll call of members.
Weed board.
Yeah, I have to convene the meeting first, yeah. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Bakken. Here. Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Okay, then we want to add, make a change at the request of the portfolio holder. We want to move the county weed board up. Instead of being at the end, we want to put them right after the consent agenda. And then I would like to add an item at the request of somebody in the audience for discussion about Crescent Manor. It goes under the Burleigh County Housing Authority, and lately I've been getting some calls about some problems down there. And we'll hear a little bit about that. So I'd like to put that right after the weed board. And anybody else have any concerns or changes? Because the public hearing might drag on. Item number 7 is a citizen that asked to present information to the commission, and I would like to move him up under right after the weed board also. Does that work for you guys? Yep. Try to accommodate that. So unless there's any other changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries. Okay,
$5.
consideration of the June 16th, 2025 meeting minutes and bills. Commissioners, I reviewed the bills and found them to be in order and would entertain a motion to
Move to
approve.
approve?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries. Next is the consent agenda. Commissioners, do you want to pull anything off of there for discussion? Any items like special use permits, anything like that?
Move to approve in its entirety.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries. I'll temporarily adjourn the Burleigh County Commission and turn that over to the Weed Board, the Chairman Bakken.
I'd like to call to order the Burleigh County Weed Board. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Here.
Commissioner Munson?
Here.
Commissioner Bakken?
Here.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Commissioner Schwab?
Here.
Commissioner Bittner?
Here.
Chairman Bakken?
Here. Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Call, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bittner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Chairman Bakken?
Yes, motion carried. Next item up, consideration of the May 5th, 2025 Weed Board minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bittner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Bakken.
Oh,
Chair Buck.
Chairman Bakken?
yes.
I realize that's a tough one, you know.
Next up, an update from our weed officer, Johnson.
Weed board members, Chair Bakken, just figured I'd stop in, let you guys know what's been going on. Last time I was here was, I believe, the beginning of May. Been real busy. We've been out as of from last year to this year, it's a whole different wheel. We didn't even have sprayers out at this time last year. We have moved out to between 27 to 30 of the townships are already covered. We had a few rainy days, a few windy days, but it's been working real well. We've had, I've received 40 contracted spraying applications for private landowners. We're getting those covered very well. The people that have had theirs already sprayed and whatnot, no disturbances, no nothing. Everything's just going real fine with that. And then there was 8 weeks, well, actually it was 9 weeks of distributing chemical on a regular Thursday from 11 to 1, started May 1st through June 26th. Around 50 people came and picked up chemical for self-application. They're real happy with what's going on there. I've been out and inspected some of those. And the people that are picking it up, they're being honest, straight up. I mean, they're putting down a good run of chemical and taking care of their weed infestation. And then the one thing I've been trying real hard, sometimes they move a little too fast, but I've been letting the township officers know, at least the road supervisors, weed officers / or the superintendents or the heads on the townships, to let them know that we're in the areas, within a couple of days, so that they're aware of it. They can tell neighbors, whatever, for safety reasons. And if they want to put flags out to, specifically show where some more infested, areas are, and our sprayers are able to see them better. Then June, well, it was the beginning or the end of May. It was brought up by our chemical distributors that we purchased from, that chemical prices were jumping up. 2,4-D jumped up $6 to $8, comes from across the pond, so that's up. But everything else is also going up in that 5 to 8%. So the purchase date had to be done by June 16th. I purchased chemical before that, so we're set up. I know we've got plenty for this year, and it might run into next year, but we're gonna use it. So I feel real good, we saved a lot of money there. We've been running 3 sprayer trucks on the average when we're out on the roadways. The NDDOT roads have been all covered. And what I've inspected on these right-of-ways or these NDDOT roads, we're getting very good coverage. Are we missing a little bit? You're going to. But, I mean, for the most part, we're doing a heck of a job. I mean, the contractor's doing a real good job. And with the 3 spray trucks, go back there, we have 2 spray sync units, Androids. So one is running with the book, like the old form, but we are logging everything, and it's all good to go. We're not missing out on anything there. And then in the areas in these townships, like Shook Mine, Ryberg Mine, or the other Ryberg Mine, as we're going through these townships, we are covering our gravel pits. We were in to get a couple of them done a little earlier because there was going to be some reseeding in areas and stuff, so we wanted the weed control under control before we went in, or the county highway department went in and reseeded and reclaimed that land on certain ones. The complaints have been minimal, but they haven't started flowering out yet, so people start seeing color pretty darn soon, especially in the thistles. The spurge is a little harder to find now because of all the sweet clover. But now and such, so our road crews, our sprayers are taking a little bit longer, but you got to do what you got to do in order to get the job done correctly. Then on July 1st, I was able to, and I took off to Lake Chida down to the Boy Scout camp down there. They had a brown and black beetle collection. I was able to bring back 4 bags of beetles back, and I put them in certain infestated areas of spurge, mainly up in that Hogue Island area is where I'd like to go, because there's been a lot of concerns with it there. And with the trees being the way they are, it's hard to get a good chemical basis down, so we're going to get those buggers working on the root systems. And also up there I put some red-headed boar spurs, and they eat the buds off the plant. They're above ground eaters. The black and brown ones are for underground. So we're getting a little bit going on there because of the infestation of spurge in that area. I think it's by getting this started, it's going to make a new place where we can go up and net and start transmitting and transporting these beetles to other properties to work a better area. So. But that's what I have here for you guys tonight. So is there any questions?
Darren, has there been any issues with the weathers? I know we've had some interesting weather as far as having to do any respraying or any washouts of chemical.
No.
Okay.
If there's rain in the forecast, I mean, me and Chris, we talk quite often. I mean, if it's looking like we're going to get rain within 10 hours or 8 hours, it's like, well, we better hold off. But generally, before you get the rain, you get the wind. So the wind is going to deter it from us being out there anyway. But yeah, they're doing well.
So that hasn't thrown the schedules off too bad as far as spraying then?
No. You get up in the Wilton area, up in that area. I mean, there's towers there for a reason. So you got to pick your day. If it doesn't look like there's much wind, you go there first and get going. So
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Schwab?
Darren, this is about a little over a year you've been on the job now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a new website. We got records that are being kept. We're saving money. And we're getting to the point where the question seems to be running around. Have you been getting all the support that you need from staff?
I get the support when I ask for it. You bet. Yeah, I mean,
no problem with it.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem. No, I mean, when I have a question, I consult you or I consult the people that I need to, and yeah, I mean, it's been going.
And being that you're out of the highway department, they're helpful, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, put some rumors to bed here.
Any other questions for our weed officer?
Good job. Very good job.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jim.
thanks for
Good things going.
taking a department and making it your own and getting a handle on it and getting going in the right
I'm
direction.
not saying I'm perfect, but I'm
No,
trying.
but we're getting there. Thank you. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Any other business for the weed board? Hearing none, the next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be July 21st. We'll have a weed board future date, and with that, this meeting is adjourned. Chairman Bittner.
Reconvene the Burleigh County Commission. Next is Crescent Manor. Conversation about Crescent Manor.
Not quite sure where to start today. I've had a few people down at the Crescent Manor give me a call saying they're having some problems down there. It started out 3-4 months back with bed bugs in the facility.
You want to identify yourself for the record, please?
Charles Feith.
Thank you.
They weren't really spraying or doing anything, taking care of it. They're getting pretty bad. Finally, I went to a few places of health and welfare and worked my way up the chain. And down at the office right there next to Crescent, they wouldn't talk to me because I'm not living there and privacy issues require them not to talk to me. So I went up to the weed board, or not the weed board, no. See what you did to me? So, and unfortunately, the email came due, it came with that name on it too. I went up and talked to the Burleigh County Housing, found out who was on that, sent everybody emails, get no response from anybody. So I find out that Sister Kathy's on, go talk to her, get no response. I talk to her and she just questions me to death. I don't get anything done. So I can't figure out if they're just, nobody's working and it can't get done. The next morning though, they did start to spray, so evidently I shook enough trees that they didn't like me.
Is this in Bismarck?
Yes, it is. It's right down on by 2nd Street. It's that tall white building.
You gotta talk to the city about that. We cannot spray
Well,
in town.
They tell me that
Well,
this
they're
board-
wrong. They're wrong.
Well,
I can
we're
tell you
looking-
that.
That's one of the things we're looking for right now, to find out.
Yeah.
I talked to Chairman before. The housing board says that this board appoints them. And I can't,
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's 100% right, but if we do appoint them from this board, then we've got to figure out why those people there aren't doing their job and why they're not making the housing people at the facility do their job. Somewhere it's falling apart all over, and nobody seems to know who's in charge or why or what can be done. I want to know what the chain of command is up to. I realize HUD's involved in this too, which creates a whole new problem. But somewhere along the line, somebody's got to be in charge that we can contact.
I understand what you're saying, but you have to remember that the weed board can only do right-of-ways and
Well,
ag
off
land,
the
so,
weed
you
board.
know, we would be the wrong.
Yes, I said that one mistake.
City should be on top of this.
I think we got lost here. This is housing and authority. Weed board, I just said it wrong because I'm used to listening to him.
I thought you were talking about weeds around it.
Well, we can if you want to go back to that. I got a couple things on that too, if you want to.
well,
One, when are we going to get a real weed board again? This is the
We
temporary
have
weed
one.
board. When
we have one,
you
right?
got
here.
everybody appointed again? New board?
Pardon me?
The 5 that resigned, we got new people for that? 5 people from the weed board resigned last year. Have we
It's
replaced those people?
All gonna depend on when Darren has the time
He's the weed
to
officer.
get it going.
But there was a full board that was supposed to be in there too. that
Well,
went there.
we had a full board that did do anything.
Unfortunately, that should have been a red flag too.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the Crescent Manor if we can. They have bed bugs, and that has nothing to do with the weed board. But they have bed bugs in there, they can't figure out where the chain of command is for that. I don't know, do we know, we're gonna look into that, see where the chain is. I will probably get a hold of the senators and ask them if they know anything about it and fight that battle. Well, this has been going on for 2-3 months. The people there, and a couple of them told me that they're afraid for their housing status there, that if they keep making problems, they're gonna be pushed out of there. Well, whoever's in that area who's got authority to tell them they're gonna get thrown out if they complain about things not being done right, that needs to be looked into. One of the rooms, I'm talking with people that are there, temperature in the room is 85, 90 degrees this time of year. That needs to be looked into if there's some problems down there. I don't know if this board's gonna have oversight into any of that at all. But if it does, then we need to do something with it. If it doesn't, then you need to let me know who that is, and I will go make sure they do it. If somehow or another, those people down there don't have the facilities to take care of this themselves, don't have the wherewithal to come up here and argue with it. When they did spray the one room last week, they told the gal, the people down there, Cheryl goes here, a notice saying, you gotta be out of your room for 3 hours. The spray company shows up, says, no, you gotta be out of your room for 24 hours, go find yourself a hotel. In that facility, they do not have the ability on a 15-minute notice to go out and find a hotel. Money or capability any other way. They spent the night in their cars. Somebody's dropping the ball massively along the line here, and I don't know where it's at, and I'm trying to find it. If we have authority in this board, then we need to figure out what can be done to make the housing board do their job, to make the housing people down there do their job, and it just keeps going. Somewhere along the line, it's not happening properly. And for some reason, they're all coming and talking to me about it. So I get elected to be their spokesman for this.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Whitcutt?
we've probably got a portfolio holder that handles that.
No, we don't.
No.
We don't?
No.
Nobody does public housing?
They report to the county commission quarterly.
Yeah,
What quarter are you talking about?
yeah.
I've never seen a report from them.
That's my problem. Every time I go someplace, I hit another stone wall, and I don't know where to go anymore. You point me in the right direction, and I'll be on their doorstep.
What have we, a road division out there that we don't even know about?
No, the simple fact is they call it Burleigh County Housing Authority, but it has nothing to do with the authority of Burleigh County.
It actually runs out of the city.
State run, isn't it?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah,
Into the city.
that's exactly.
Well, like I mentioned before the meeting, the auditor's going to provide me with names and contact phone numbers and whatnot, and I'll see what more I can find out
That'll
for you.
do. And a side note on that, I called I didn't call them. I looked them up online. They have email addresses. I emailed all 5 of the Housing Authority Board. 3 of them came back as, there's no such email address. If you put that on your webpage, this is how you get a hold of us, then they should be able to be gotten a hold of by that method. If they don't, there's something wrong. I've had some problems getting a hold of this board by emails, and we're gonna have to start making phone calls, I guess, but I want somewhere along the line that if you get emails on any of the boards by people that are told by the web pages, your own web pages, how to get a hold of you, that somebody actually responds to those emails. And it's been difficult. I've tried a long time. I've tried, well, that's why the weed board popped up in my mind. I've tried a long time to get a hold of your board and the people there, and with this now too, and somewhere along the line, somebody has to be available to be talked to, and it's not easy to find them. And I've made several phone calls before, and those phone calls fall on answer machines that never get responded to either, and several of them told me we've changed our number. That can't be the answer.
Well, we're going to look at the record, see whose numbers are available, and we'll know more soon.
Yep, I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
if you can get back a hold of me if you find something, I'll go rattle on another cage for a while, get out of it. I just need a path to follow, and right now, this is the top as far as I've got, and it doesn't seem like it's 100% right either.
The city
that-
manages a great deal of that, so I would reach out to the mayor, reach out to the city administrator, and go down that path.
I think, yeah,
I would start with
Talking to the
Jason.
governor.
I would start with Jason Demonic, the city administrator. Yeah.
try to see if he knows. Yep, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So what involvement do they have down there, you know, just briefly?
So like with Edmonton Place and stuff, a lot of it is permitted with on the city side. It works very closely. That was one of the many meetings I had with them as mayor. So it falls under the city. The city appoints a lot of that board and
Right,
the
because we only
structure.
appoint one, don't we?
Yeah,
We appoint one
member.
One member.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much managed by the city.
Okay, well, that's good information to know. We'll know more tomorrow. Or at least over the next couple days. Okay, next, we put Mr. Wrestler Larry with a fireworks discussion. Is he here?
Thanks for your time. Thanks for
Welcome.
talking to me over the phone the other day.
You're welcome.
I live up in Harvest Grove, and basically, I go to bed early because I get up early. I drive school bus, and I train people to drive school bus. So I go to bed early, and I get up at about 4 in the morning to get ready to go to work. Well, if you have kids and parents shooting fireworks off after 10 o'clock, up to maybe 12:30 to 1 o'clock, getting any sleep is basically impossible. And I know up in my area, there's been quite a bit of that going on because they start selling them on the 27th, if I remember right. And then they can shoot them off till the 5th. My one thing is, I called the Burleigh County deputies, and they say there's no noise ordinance in place. So basically, for me, they can shoot them all night long and I won't get any sleep. So the only thing, I'm not against fireworks, I just want to maybe have something that will please everybody to where, okay, you can shoot them to 10 o'clock on the 27th, 28th, 29th, and whatever, up till the 3rd, up to 10. But on the 4th, you can shoot them till whenever. On the 5th, you shoot them till 10. Then it's over with. Or maybe just adopt what Bismarck has and just have no fireworks. But I'm not against people that are doing it the right way. It's the few that do it the wrong way. And while the other night, I got up, it was like 10:30, I went over to where these kids were shooting fireworks. And I said, could you please stop? And they looked at me and like, no, we can shoot it, we're out of town. Okay, that's fine, but I said, I have to get up early, and basically the one kid just gave me the 10-year-old kid said, F off. The parents were sitting in the driveway and they started laughing. If they don't have any respect for anybody, and I'm sure these ladies and gentlemen might have had the same type of stuff in their areas, but if you could just put a noise ordinance up and for the to the 4th, they shoot them all the time and then end it, or just basically have no fireworks. So I'm not sure where you guys want to go with it. I hate complaining about it, but there's other people, like last night, we went across the street for a birthday party for the little kid. The people next door came home from camping. The one kid who's graduated this year jumped out of his vehicle, pulled out a mortar, shot that off, and you get 2 big loud cannon noises, and that's on the 6th. So they're just do what they want when they want. And I don't know if you guys can, I don't know if there's a way to fix it or whatever, but maybe a noise ordinance, or just say, if you guys want to screw around like this, we'll just end it, and then there'll be no fireworks for anybody. Like I said, I'm not against fireworks, but if there's anything you guys have an idea on, I don't know. Same as when I talked to you, Mr. Bittner, the motorcycle kids up in Harvest Grove last year were just a nightmare, and they finally got that fixed. So then it was the same kids that were shooting the fireworks.
That makes sense. Not surprised.
And then the parents were in the driveway laughing.
Yeah. Hard to understand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thank you for coming in and letting us know about that. I'm sure that we're going to have some additional discussions over time and give guys a chance to think about that.
Okay.
We'll get input from the sheriff and the state's attorney, and we'll.
Weren't we starting on an ordinance?
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, we may want to ask Mitch to come up, I'm not sure, but
Is he here?
we were working on an ordinance last year. The fireworks industry came together and asked us to hold for one season. they wanted to spend some time educating their customers to try to eliminate some of the issues that Mr. Ressler is having. And so we gave them that year, this year, to try. And so it's probably time for Mitch to go back to work on his ordinance.
Okay, thanks for your time.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Kelly, you want to weigh in on that? Is Mitch here? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Munson is right. Last year, excuse me, there was a resident that wanted to get something moving forward. We had a meeting with Mitch was there. I can't remember. I think you two commissioners were there. The sheriff's department, and we did have members from the fireworks community. The gentleman is right. There is no noise ordinance under state law. The only noise ordinance is the disorderly conduct statute that says makes unreasonable noise. Making unreasonable noise is a ambiguous law. And basically, the way we treat it is we look and say, what does the majority of the public accept or agree with? And so, this year, July 4th was on a Friday. That makes it a little easier to allow fireworks to go a little later. The problem we run into in trying to be reasonable with the public and allow both sides to, have a good weekend or a good holiday. The problem is it doesn't get dark in North Dakota till late at night. And so it's not like they can be shooting them off at 7, 8 in the evening. I will say this in response to what Commissioner Munson said. Ultimately, the Sheriff's Department did the brochure this year. We put together, Major Holm worked on it. We put together a colorful brochure. It was posted to our Facebook page. We also worked with the fireworks industry locally, and we thought instead of them sponsoring it, because then we'd have competition, they'd all want their logo on there. We just thought we would sponsor it as long as they'd be willing to hand it out. The good thing was they did. I personally actually received some feedback on it, and even the fireworks industry understands that there can be problems with this. The one thing I will say is we had probably the lowest complaints we've had. I think this morning when we reviewed reports, there was 6 reports of injury, 6 reports including 1 injury. There was a fireworks trailer that caught on fire, but overall the noise complaints were very, very low. Obviously not non-existent, because it is a contentious issue, but short of, I think it would be good to get some meetings together again and ultimately decide which way to go. But for the record, it was probably our best year in the department.
So Kelly, one of the things that comes up every year is ETA. And just for the record, can you tell people how that functions? Because people think just outside of city limits, but they're in the ETA, and the law enforcement works very differently in that area.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, complicated. That's what I'll say about the ETA, and I've spoke with Commissioner Munson on this. Technically, the city, we're in a bind because the city can have their zoning ordinances out there, and ultimately it's up to them to enforce those zoning ordinances, because we can't enforce their ordinances. And so, again, we work through it. It's kind of like the camper stuff I told you about. We try to find that common ground and be reasonable. But the ETA, even though they're under the city for zoning ordinance, people can still have fireworks because it's in the county. And sometimes it gets very complicated because you'll have a chunk of county land that wasn't annexed into the city, and they'll figure it out and put a fireworks stand on it. And so, very complicated when it comes to enforcing or what can be allowed and what can't. Typically, what we would do is in the event somebody, is shooting fireworks, let's say that's the other part of the law. The law doesn't say when you can shoot fireworks. It just says when they can be sold. So the stringent interpretation would mean they can never be fired off, but I don't think that was what the intent was. So then you have the liberal interpretation that basically says they can be fired off at any time. And so we work with the public and try and keep that happy ground or happy middle ground. What we would do in a situation under that disorderly conduct is, just like if you have a loud stereo playing at 3 a.m, everyone would agree that's unreasonable. Somebody playing a loud stereo at 10:30 at night on a Friday night, probably not as unreasonable. And so you try to figure out where's that compromise for everybody.
Well, that's one of the discussions I hope we're going to have when we meet with the city on some ETA discussions, because that's one of the things that needs to be on the list as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sheriff. Mitch, did you want to add anything to that?
No, but we may want to, if we do continue these talks with the fireworks industry here, they were good talks, and the complaints are down. Hopefully they stay down. But we may consider some joint jurisdictional ordinance with the city on this, because the Harvest Grove is in the city limits, but it's right next to the county borderline. So we may want to consider some joint jurisdictional ordinances.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Mitch. Mr. Veith, you probably saw me typing there a little bit. I just sent you some information that Commissioner Bakken provided while we were sitting here about the person to contact, and he gave the phone number and an email address for you. Okay. So make sure you're aware of that. Okay, that gets us up to a public hearing on resolution and plan for separating elective office of Burleigh County Auditor Treasurer to elective office of Auditor and appointed office of Treasurer, an amended plan for the change in duties of the auditor. I'll open a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak on this item? Come on up and identify yourself for the record.
For having this hearing. My name is Reuben Larson, and I'm kind of a stranger to everybody in here. I don't think anybody knows me, and I don't know any of you guys. And I don't even know the people in the audience. Okay. But anyway, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know you have a tough job. I've sat in a chair similar to where you're sitting right now, and I know that, and I assume that, like me, when I was in the past, that the reason you're sitting there is because you have a desire in your heart to do what's right for the county. That you have a desire in your heart to do what's right for the county. Because I know that's when I ran for the city council up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, many years ago and got elected. I ran on the theory that I wanted to do what was right for the city. And when I got up there, got elected, and went up the city call, somebody told me that I get a paycheck. I said, "What? I get paid for doing this? I thought we had to do it. I thought we did it for free because we wanted to do it, you know." So I assume that's what you guys want too, is to do what's right. And I know this Sponskowski issue is divisive, and we can lose our cool on this. But I want to address the issue of whether or not you should split the office up or keep it the way it is. And you can't discuss whether or not you keep it the way it is or split it up without looking at what's happened in the past. And I realize you have a difficult decision, and it was your duty to, help supervise the other officers, if there's a problem. And but I just have some questions to ask you so that to help you hopefully make the right decision. Was he given any training when he was after he was elected office? Do you know?
We believe that he took advantage of some training.
Well, the issue is whether or not he was given training. I don't know if you're aware of this, but when the people voted for you guys and for other elected offices, they vote for people that they know may not know what to do in certain situations. Okay? And I know you people have made mistakes in your past life, and even while sitting on the commission. Excuse me. I was kind of delinquent here and not turning my phone off. But anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, the statute requires, I don't know if you're aware of this, I'm assuming you don't, because I never saw it. I read every newspaper article, and I read every email that was on the internet about this issue here. Okay, about his incompetency or alleged incompetency. Okay? And the picture I got when I read the emails, well, actually the picture I got when I read the newspaper stories was he was in a learning process, and he tried his best to do, and he tried to solve all the problems. And the picture I got was eventually the problems were resolved, except maybe one, investing the money. But that was back during a period when some banks were charging people to have a checking account. You heard those stories back, when the interest rates were so low, the government was just printing the money and giving it to the banks so they could try to loan it out at zero interest. So some banks started to charge people just to have a checking account. So interest rates were so low that you couldn't do anything about it. But anyway, in North Dakota Century Code Title 11, Chapter 10, Section 28, 11.10.28, it talks about newly elected or appointed county officials in training, and within 1 year of assuming office, an individual who is elected or appointed to the office of county commissioner, auditor, clerk of district court, recorder, or treasurer shall attend training based upon a curriculum specific to that office and approved by the statewide association for that office. So what I'm trying to say here is there may have been problems in the auditor's office, but there's also problems probably with this county commission that the job wasn't done right, because it was expected that the people were elected and that maybe they would need certain training. Okay? I'm just, saying that there's fault on both sides of the issue. And secondly, a big issue was made about him filing a lawsuit. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the auditor has the authority to file a lawsuit, except that he can do it only with the county court, commission's approval. But he can only sue the county treasurer. And that's North Dakota Century Code 11, Title 11, Chapter 14, Verse 18. So the county auditor does have the authority to sue, but getting to his particular case, and I believe that you folks were in error on this when you attacked him for making that lawsuit, and then you made that as one of your complaints in the petition for removal. You argue that he did not get your permission before he filed the lawsuit. Well, first of all, you as the county commission don't have the authority to delegate your power to sue to somebody else. That's not there. It just isn't there. You can make arguments, and I know that arguments were made, that the county commission could sue. But that's not what the statute says. The statute is plain and clear, and that's all you were doing, and we're doing was legislating, writing new legislation to fit your agenda. And I felt that Mr. Sponskowski was unfairly and wronged by attacking him in his lawsuit, because he doesn't need your permission. Basically, your argument is because his injury, his perceived injury, was caused because he was a county auditor and it was his official capacity, that therefore he has to sue in his official capacity. Well, what your argument really is saying that if you as a county commission make a decision which adversely affects some employee in the county or a group of employees, that they have to sue you in their official capacity as an employee, which doesn't make sense. You as individuals have the right to sue the county if you've been wronged by the county, even though you're a member of the county commission. An employee of the county has the right to sue the county if he's been injured or being injured by the county. Okay? Otherwise, you're saying that no employee could sue the county even though the county did them a wrong. And I don't know if this county's ever been sued, but counties have been sued in the past, across the state. So I just feel like you've been you did wrong. Okay. But anyway, the question I have is, have all the issues with the auditor's office been resolved? In other words, is the auditor doing his job now? Because that goes to the issue of whether or not you should change the auditor's office. It doesn't make sense to be spending a lot of money. Now, Mr. Splonskowski is going to be mad at me for saying this. He doesn't know me, and I don't know him. The two of us have never met. But he's probably happy that you're going to do what you're doing because he can sit there in his office and twiddle his thumbs all day because he's got no work to do. Because according, as I understand it, in order to split the office up and do what you want to do, what you propose that you want to do, you're going to go from 7 employees to approximately, it depends on which sheet I look at, 11 or 12 employees to do the same job that 7 employees are doing with the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, and the tax assessor, or the, whatever you call it, the tax board, or whatever it is, tax equalization director. Okay?
Well, let me speak to that a moment.
Okay, sure.
I don't know where you're getting those numbers from. I don't know how you're putting that together, because my understanding is that we don't need any additional staff to do this.
Well, according to what's on the computer for today's agenda, I just printed it off today. I just decided to do this today. Actually, last night I was thinking about it.
Okay, well, my understanding is that there's no change in staffing required. We'll rearrange some things, but we're not looking at adding staff.
Well, that's what
Not that I
what's
understand.
on your computer. You need either three or four, depending on which sheet I read, employees for the county auditor. Office of Treasurer, you need 5. And then the Office of Tax Equalization, you need 3. And this is page 024 of your agenda. If you look at on the computer on your agenda meeting minutes for tonight. This was where I printed it off.
Regardless of what that says, I'm not aware of us adding any staff.
But when I read your past commission meetings and also the newspaper articles, it was always talking about that you're going to need more employees by splitting everything up.
I don't see that as being the case, sir.
Well,
I don't know where I don't know how you come to that conclusion from that information.
Well,
I think that you're, I guess all I can say is we're not adding any staff by doing this.
Yeah, okay, well, this was on the...
That's fine, but
Okay.
we're not adding any staff.
Okay. But will he be doing it in the future? Is there a possibility?
I don't know what the future
Mr.
holds.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Wood does.
If we were to split these two up, if you look at the total employees that we've got now in those 3 or 4 offices, and combine them, say there's 15, there will be no more than 15 when we're done. They may be moved to one department to another, but they're still going to be the same number of employees. We won't be adding any additional employees in those 4 departments that we're
Did I
concerned
hear you
about.
say at 15 now?
I don't, it
No,
might be
that-
14, it might be
it's-
16, I'm just saying the total number of the auditor, the tax equalization, the treasurer, the election worker, if you take all those departments right now, throw them together, say there's 15, say there's 20, whatever there might be, I don't know exactly, it's listed in there, but after we're done, if we do anything, there will be no more than that original number.
Okay.
They just be, it might
See,
be. a
that's
diff-
why I'm up here, because I was left with the impression that there are 7 people in the auditor's office right now,
Well,
which
you look-
includes
Yeah,
all
I-
3
I
You gotta
departments.
I
read
understand
you gotta
what
read
you're-
the whole
hang on.
report. You gotta
Yeah.
add the whole report. You're looking at one phrase. There will be more in one department, but there'll be less in another to balance that out.
Well, this is page 024, 025.
Well, sir,
and- Yeah,
we're not adding staff.
okay, well then, I guess I made a fool out of myself then.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Okay,
I think that was your understanding, but I'm here
Yeah.
to tell you we're not adding staff, so that's.
but I did get this off your computer, off the agenda meeting minutes for
understand that.
tonight.
It's all there if you read the whole, add it all up.
Well, I read every word of every document on that. It was like
No, I appreciate you
40-some
doing that and
pages.
being thorough. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, well, sorry about that then.
You're right, I read the same thing. I'd like to know how many actual employees there are right now. Mark, how many are there?
You know, we're not going to have conversations from the chairs. You need to come to the microphone and give your name and speak.
Well, how many employees are it? She wants me to ask how many employees are in the auditor's office right now.
Okay.
Ask the auditor, he's right there.
And by auditor's office, I mean auditor, treasurer, and the tax equalization, all three departments.
Currently, there are 7 employees in the auditor treasurer office, currently employed and budgeted for. And there are 4 employees in the tax equalization office.
Okay. Okay, because everything I read was 7 in the auditor's office, which included all 3. But, sorry, my fault.
11.
That's 11, yeah. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Say, I'm gonna correct
Commissioner
that.
Schwab.
Add one more, because the auditor, I don't think is counting himself.
That's including myself.
That, okay.
Okay, because my questions tonight were kind of similar. I was looking at the documentation online, and all of a sudden, the tax equalization is
Name, please.
included. Is the tax equalization under the auditor, the treasurer?
Name for the record, please.
Your name.
Pat Langenfelder.
Okay, thanks, Pat.
Resident of Burleigh County. Okay. Because my questions are kind of similar. When I was looking through the documentation for tonight's meeting, the tax equalization is also listed there, and previously that hasn't been in discussion, or at least not to my knowledge, it hasn't been. So who does the tax equalization fall under?
Tax equalization is kind of in the organization chart under the auditor's office, and it has its own director. The tax equalization director is under the auditor's office at this
Okay, and
point.
who hires and appoints the director for the tax equalization office?
I think that would be the Burleigh County HR conjunction with the Burleigh County Commission. Because
Okay.
we actually appoint the directors.
And you said there's 3 in that department?
There's a director
4.
plus the 3 employees, yeah.
So the current treasurer auditor has 7? Is that correct?
That's what he said, yeah.
Tax equalization is 3 and
4.
4.
That's
I
11.
keep saying, okay, 4. Yep. 7, that's 11. Where are the other staff?
There is no other.
There isn't other stuff.
staff?
There's also 2 in the finance department, but that's a different department.
Right.
Different department. Okay. Because when I started looking at it, I was a little confused how the tax equalization all of a sudden got into the reorganization plans. So, are they currently under the auditor?
Yes.
Yep.
And they'll be removed into a separate department, or?
No, they're going to stay the same department. They're just not going to be under that plan. They won't be under this auditor.
This auditor, okay. They'll be under the treasurer, or who will they be under?
You know, I haven't looked at the job descriptions.
Director,
Yeah, I think we might,
operating out of that office, but separately.
They'll be independent and they'll be under the
So
commission,
you'll have checks and balances.
okay.
So, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson?
So based, the information that was in your package, stay back on page 24. So the office of the auditor will be separated from the auditor and treasurer office. The treasurer, so the auditor will be on his own, will be its own department, the treasurer be the own department, the county administrator, if the county board chooses to add that department, would be on its own, and so would the tax equalization department be its separate department.
Tax equalization, separate department as well. Okay, so that'll be listed to the added to the officers that are listed in the appointment in the home rule charter then, or how will that director be addressed?
I think that director would be appointed the same way all department heads are appointed.
The way all department heads, so it'd be just a department head and removed from the auditor's office.
Hiring process.
Yeah,
But,
that sounds
Mr.
about
Chairman,
right.
but the point we
Commissioner
gotta
Whitman.
remember is we're not gonna add any more employees than we presently have. That's the point.
No,
Your
actually,
intent is to not add. Okay.
Well, intent is intent. I mean, what we're looking at now, we have made that decision. There will be no additional employees than there is today.
Okay. Yep, Charles Veith again. I understand, though, that we want to split this and we want to appoint them. Why don't we let the public vote for them? Burleigh County residents say who they want in these positions.
Oh, that's a real good point.
We're still gonna.
That's kind of where we're at. We changed this preliminary resolution to where the office of county auditor is going to stay an elected office.
And the treasurer also should be then.
No.
If they split him, have him elected also?
No, the treasurer office will become an appointed office because the simple fact is we have to have competent financial management for Burleigh County. We don't have that right now.
That shouldn't
In
be
that
that
office,
difficult to
so-
say that you can't run unless you're competent, have them check it at that level, and then we get to pick which one we like.
Century Code does not
People
allow
get to
that.
Yeah, that's not in the
It has
codes.
its points, but still elect them instead.
No, we tried
The
that.
constituents, well, my understanding, they used to be split before, and we put them together not too long back, but for some reason, now we're gonna split them, but they want them appointed.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about appointed a little while ago, and we're having difficulties understanding who we're appointing and who oversees them. And now we wanna appoint another one, and there's gonna be some more issues about who oversees that person then also.
Right.
So if we let the public elect them, we don't have that issue.
Well, we have that issue today. You know, we have, Burleigh County citizens have lost millions of dollars, sir.
Like he was saying, that might have been a learning curve or something else too, but
Okay, so
I don't
how
put my
much,
money in different accounts when I do it either.
how much money should we lose before we take action?
That's not even the question over here. I said elected over appointed instead. That was the only issue I brought up. The rest of it, we're not
Yeah.
gonna deal with that.
The auditor is going to stay elected.
And maybe the treasurer also could be elected if you split them.
I don't know what the benefit, our goal, since the state law doesn't allow us to put qualifications on an elected position, we need that to be appointed so that we can ensure for Burleigh County citizens that you have a qualified person handling
like to have
the
someone-
size of the finances that Burleigh County has. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year go through Burleigh County for all the taxing entities, all the everybody. It needs somebody who at the very minimal is like a CPA.
Some if he had, well, Attorney General, I think when he run, he had to be a lawyer. I don't think you could just vote the garbage collector in for that either. So there are some ways of putting standards to who does run.
Right, I tried that with the state legislature
Has to be.
this year. Apparently, they didn't have time to work it into a bill during this session, so we tried that
Just
route
my
also.
concept. We can get them both elected maybe, or something, let the public decide who gets the job.
Well, the public will get to decide who's going to be the auditor.
Yeah, other one too. Thanks.
Josie Milbrat, Burleigh County. Let's make everything clear here. You wanted this to be an appointed position. And of course, we all showed up and said no. So now you're just gonna gut the office so it'll be an appointed position, because nobody's gonna run for it. You know that, I know that. Let's just be honest about it. That's what you're doing. And that's the plan, so.
I don't think I can agree with that, Josie. I don't know why we would,
Who's gonna run for a Burleigh County auditor, do an election for $40,000-$50,000 a year? Who are you gonna get?
well, commissioners here run for this office for a whole lot less than that.
This is a full-time job. This isn't.
You know,
Which leads me into
wait a
the county
minute, wait a minute,
administrator
wait a
part.
minute.
Let's talk about the county
Actually,
administrator part.
actually, an elected official only has to work, what is it?
8.
8 hours. 8 hours a month.
The county auditor is elected to a full-time position.
He doesn't have
We
to
don't
work
need
any
to
further
go
than
into
8
all of
hours a
that.
month.
But what you want to talk about is the county administrator that you want to charge us more tax money for.
I don't
I'm
think
looking at 5 county administrators right here that were elected. So what that says is that either you can't do the job because we've grown government so much that we can't handle the position, or you shouldn't have ran for it in the first place. So that's what you're doing. And everybody can see it. And you're wasting a lot of our time and our money doing this stuff. And the $5 million was $5 million on investments. If I had that crystal ball back there, I certainly wouldn't be working for the county. Because you can make a lot more money elsewhere, so that's what's going on here. And
Exactly
it just
the point.
needed to be said, so
Sir,
appreciate the time.
That's exactly the point. We need somebody in there that handles our finances, that knows what they're doing. If they see 5 investment opportunities with 4 different institutions, at least you can call the bank and say, I'm gonna get 4% here, 4.5 here, 5, 5.5. What are you gonna pick? The 4? No, you're gonna pick the 5.5. That takes knowledge and education. It takes, you've got to have some knowledge of investments of all kinds. And we haven't had that. And you talk about learning curve, well, I get so frustrated in how would you talked about electing a dog catcher. Well, you can elect a dog catcher on current law.
I didn't say anything about electing a dog catcher.
Okay. A garbage collector, I'm sorry you said garbage collector.
I didn't say anything about a garbage collector either.
Okay. Well, the point is, and we need a qualified person in there that right from the beginning knows what they're doing, because they make investment decisions daily. I mean daily, and it's millions of dollars of money that is your money, not our money. It's your money, and if they're not properly done, the taxpayers lose money. That's the only thing you got to remember. Why would we have somebody in there that doesn't do the job properly?
Again, you're gutting the position. Nobody's in around for it. It's going to be appointed was what you wanted in the original. It needed to be said, because that's what's happening.
Okay. Thank
Well,
you.
Anybody
I
can see it.
appreciate you sharing your opinion, but that's not what we're after here. We're after sound financial management for Burleigh County.
Well, anybody that's been watching the county commission since certain commissioners have been on here, that's been the goal since day one, hasn't it? You've been working on this a long time. So, anyway, thank you for the
I'm
time.
not sure I
Appreciate it.
understand your accusations.
Keep my
but-
mouth shut.
Good evening, my name is Trina Schweitzer. I'm a Burleigh County resident. I have a couple of questions myself. First of all, I want to thank you guys for your stance on the CO2 pipeline. That was amazing what you guys did. Our own township adopted a lot of the ordinances that you put in place, and I thank you for your fight. It was great. My concerns tonight is if you split the two, the auditor and the treasurer, who will keep you guys accountable? Who will take that position then? Because right now the auditor, when we all came to you and said we don't want you to make the auditor's office appointed, a lot of us said it was about accountability. So if you split them, who then keeps you accountable?
The electorate.
Yeah, you know, I think you might have a mistaken impression that the auditor keeps the commission accountable. That's not his job. His job is laid out in century code, and it has nothing to do with accountability of the commission. I'm not
Okay.
sure where you get that.
So on all the finances and the bills that have to be looked at and signed off on and all that kind of stuff, there's no accountability between the two of.
There's a lot of accountability. As a matter of fact, I just reviewed the bills prior to this meeting, and every month a different commissioner reviews the bills. And so it's a system that's set up, a minimum of 3 people sign for 3, or possibly even 4, now that I think about it, sign for each individual bill in the county. So there's a serious multi-layer look at every single bill that crosses Burleigh County's desk, so that everybody is accountable, literally. So nothing with any of that will change. The accountability is going to be certainly maintained.
Okay. So then, the other question is the treasurer. You know, if you guys appoint a treasurer, then he's just your employee. So if we were able to elect our own treasurer, I think there's got to be some accountability there. I mean, I guess it just feels like some of our power is being taken away and you are getting more. And I guess I'm a little bit concerned about that.
There is 0 power in the auditor's office.
Well, we have the power to elect them. And I know you're going to leave that.
We didn't do a very good job with that, did we?
I'm. Wow, stop. So it's a little bit of an insult because, okay, you guys have, there's a whole big charade, and you guys tell your side. Anybody who's a good citizen calls and talks to the auditor and gets his side. And there's really nothing really concrete telling us who's right and who's wrong here. I think maybe a lot of people agree with me. I was kind of hoping that the whole investigation thing was going to happen because I kind of want to know who's telling the truth and who's not. If he's guilty, then yeah, he should go. If he's innocent, then who's making up stuff? And so it's kind of frustrating for, I think, a lot of us to sit here and watch the bickering back and forth, and you say, he say, blah, blah, blah. He says he didn't lose a bunch of money. You say he doesn't lose a bunch of money, and we're caught in the middle trying to figure out who's telling the truth. And so now when you're trying to gut the position a little bit here, and I agree with Josie a little bit too, I worked elections. I thought they went well. Elections are really, really important to me. I want them run well. And if you gut the auditor's position, or you don't, I don't know what you're going to pay if you split. But if you don't pay people well, we're not going to get good people. So if you do this, I don't want the auditor to get less money because I want good people to run, and I want them to take their job seriously because I want our elections to be well run, secure, and taken seriously. So I hope you don't decrease whatever you're going to pay the auditor if you guys decide to split this. And I would really like to have an opportunity to elect our treasurer also. I just think that is fair for the people of Burleigh County to elect people who are in charge of our money. And whether you think we did a bad job last time, I don't think the other gal was any better. She didn't present herself professionally at all. I didn't think so. I couldn't vote for her. But anyway, it's a little bit frustrating for us out here to see. It seems like some of our us being able to elect people being taken away. We got thrown under the bus by our state this year with the CO2 pipeline. They even took power away from the townships this time. So we're seeing power grabs is what we're seeing out here. And I really hope you guys really think about this. We're watching, and I hope you really think about what you're doing. We elected this auditor. He has a little more time to run here. If you want to change things up, do it at the next time. Let him do his job. We have to pay him anyway. I think he's probably learned a lot. I don't know that he's redone any mistakes twice. He's new. I'm sure you guys didn't know what you were all doing when you first got elected either, and you made some mistakes too. And so I would just like you to please consider a lot before you do this, and please don't take the power of the people away. Thank you.
Charles Tuttle, I live on Rosser Street. Man, it just amazes me how the personal attacks, there's no call for it. It's just so unbelievable. You guys spend $194,580 a year to rent this building. You approved $17 million for this other building, and you bought it for $7 million. It'll take you 99 years to break even. That's how money managers you guys are.
No, the auditor is the money manager.
I'm just saying, this is unbelievable. I watched you guys pass $17 million worth of bids and didn't even have a way of, at that time, how it was going to be financed. Didn't even talk about going to the Bank of North Dakota. Where are you going to, well, we have the money.
You're not on top.
It's not your money. It's
You
like
know,
Davy Crockett stole.
Listen.
It's not your
we're
money.
we're in a public hearing regarding this
Yes.
plan.
And that's
This
what we're talking about.
Provident building has
are
nothing to do with it.
You guys are
Charles,
sitting here telling us how bad this auditor is, and you've been defaming him from day one. You guys should all be sued for libel, and you're destroying any confidence that the county electorate have, because you're calling the county electorate stupid. That's what you're doing, and you've been doing that. Totally disregarding all the public hearings, people coming up here, and the reality is, we can change all of this with a petition. And that's what we're going to have to do. You went so many different routes to try and get rid of Mark. When this started in 2013, it wasn't about Mark. We've got a city attorney that hired a criminal, Liz Brocker, who destroyed all of Wayne Stenson's emails and then hid that person from the investigation of the adjacent doctor. The BCI in Montana dubbed her as suspect number 2.
let me remind you,
We
the
have
subject
state's
is a
attorney
public hearing.
that
Charles,
is fraudulent and should not be in office.
The subject is this
Yes.
preliminary plan.
I'm talking about competence.
You're
The
deviating.
subject is competence.
Well-
You guys are out here slamming Mark constantly. His
Charles,
job is not to
Charles,
invest
Charles.
money.
Charles,
That's not.
you are attacking everybody here, and you're complaining.
I'm letting you know. I
You know you're
haven't,
attacking us,
but
right?
I am now.
Cut this
When
off.
he sat there and said
Cut
he
it
lost millions of
Okay.
dollars, there's no foundation for that. None.
Yes, there is.
No,
We
there's
have-
not.
We have
and the Attorney
facts.
General didn't agree with you.
You don't need to argue with me. We operate on facts here,
No,
Charles.
you're talking about investments. You're talking
yeah.
about potential income. You're not talking about
We have
lost
known,
money. This is not
listen,
damage to
I'm not
the
going to argue with, hey,
taxpayers.
Kelly,
I'm sorry?
you're
This
not
is-
going to sit and argue with us.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm
Yeah, you are.
stating a fact.
We have documentation all
Yes.
the way down the line,
Yes,
Charles.
on investments, on what you could have made. That's not his responsibility.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Where was it in his description? I've heard you guys read the description, and nowhere was there in the description that he's an investment banker.
He's the
Now,
chief
you've got
financial.
Is the
this
chief,
weasel
this
lead
position at the current time is the chief financial officer
Right.
of Burleigh
And
County.
they're to protect the
And
money
we
that you
need
have.
competence.
They have a fiduciary responsibility, as does the school lands trust, all of
Yeah,
those,
okay,
to keep
thanks.
the principal, not to
Thanks.
invest money. And you
Thanks
got
for
this
your
weasel
opinion.
that you've used every meeting, come up here and try and find things on Mark, and it hasn't been successful. Haven't you guys woke up? It hasn't worked. So now you want to strip this office of everything, because everything you've tried, everything you've thrown at this hasn't worked, has it? But you're not listening to the voters. You're not.
Got anything else to add? Thanks, Kelly.
Stephen Schneitley, resident of Burleigh County. I apologize if I missed some of the earlier. I was a little bit late, so.
You can move that mic up.
We can't hear you.
There you go.
Sorry. I apologize if something's been discussed already. I might have missed something, but I just caught the end of talking about whether or not you're gonna hire additional employees and all that. And it may be true you don't have the intention of hiring additional employees, but I think I heard you say that each new department now that's all under the current auditor position would need a new director of that department, no?
No.
Okay. So
No, there
or a new head of
currently
that
is.
department?
Right, there currently is a director of, like, say, the tax equalization department.
Okay. So they all have their own head of departments currently?
Yep.
Okay. So
No change.
Okay. That was the only question I had.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Curtis Junt. First thing I wanted to mention here, it's a little, I know we've talked about this before, but maybe at some point could this board have a discussion whether we need to keep spending $750,000 on garrison diversion? As a little sidebar, but I wonder what the benefit is. It is off topic, but I wonder what the benefit is to Burleigh County. I don't see one.
Yeah, well, we did $50,000, they did $50,000 for our ball diamond, for their new floor.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, I wanted to just throw that out. But anyway.
Stay on top.
Okay, let's.
So.
Off topic.
When I read the packet for today, I went all the way down, and it looks like there were some emails that came from different department heads on, if we do split this, how many staff we're going to need. And I went all the way down, and I've attended enough meetings to hear Finance Director Lee Jacobs talk about how, running and doing the job efficiently, we actually won't need any staff. We might even be able to save staff. So I think if you keep reading down, I think there is that email in the packet from Finance Director Lee Jacobs. I have no reason to ever stand up here and talk about this. I'm not trying to validate myself like some of the other people here who keep running for offices. I never plan on running for office. I will not run for an office. A number of people that get up here to try to validate themselves, they keep running for offices. That's not why I've been up here on this topic. I'm up here because in my 43-year career and having my own companies and having hired a CFO and controller and having different companies, I'm sick and tired of self-dealers. And our politicians, he stood up in Sterling and said when he chose to be a politician, and that's the problem. I didn't view this job at $102,000 a year starting as an entry-level on-the-job training. If anyone here, there's a lot of business owners here. I wonder how many of you have an entry-level on-the-job training, no formal education whatsoever beyond a GED, no experience about finance, economics, business, investments, and you're going to hire someone and pay him starting out at $102,000 a year plus benefits, which, by the way, he now gave himself a $9,000 a year raise, so now he's at $111,000, $166,000 burden to the county. Okay, now he gets on the radio and he keeps talking about the problem is you guys. I hear these guys get up and the problem is you guys. But you know what? He may just be the reason. I mean, I didn't get involved in this. We didn't get involved in this until December because I listened to the bad publicity about Burleigh County too. And we did a hell of a job battling the monster CO2. Might have been in vain. But, this to me, when I look at property taxes going up and where we live, and I see, we've been to the meetings. Some of you probably haven't been reading all attending all the meetings. These guys have meetings every 2 weeks. There's never been an auditor treasurer public, meeting that we can attend to hear what the auditor treasurer is doing, is there? That's the accountability that we have for you 5. You have meetings every 2 weeks at least, and we get to stream in and listen. We get to attend the meetings. That's how we hold all 5 of you accountable. So this position, unfortunately, had a high enough salary that somebody with 0 qualifications, 0, chose to run for it. I voted for him. Commissioner Bittner voted for him.
I voted for him.
Yep. Okay. That's on us because, like I've said before, I can't imagine anyone in their right mind that would choose to run for a job to get a big paycheck because I stand up, I'm good looking, I wear a cross, I got you all believing in me, That's a politician for you. And then you get, okay, I've got a 4-year degree, I'm an engineer. Oh, I'm going to run for let's say they elect the administrator of Sanford. You think I'm going to run for that? No, because I'm going to fall flat on my face and fail. So there's been enough published by this commission, by the finance department, over the last year that shows all of the money. It's not, oh, could've, would've, should've. There were CDs that came due that were left to sit idle at 0.4% for 3-4 months. That's not their fault. And then I hear him stand up a month or 2 months ago and talk about how he keeps all the investments in a folder, paper. Well, this is the age of computers, and that's what the finance department's doing. So I don't, is there one person, there are business owners here, you find me one company that has, I don't care if it's $1 million budget, I don't care if they invest $500,000 in funds, that will hire this guy with 0 qualifications to manage their money, let alone $78 million budget, $100 million in funds. See, it's okay for all these people to be defending this bullshit because it's not their direct money. But when it's their money, find me one person, one company, you're business owners, I see them all out here. I want one of you to come forth and say, yep, I have $1 million corporation, and yep, I would hire him. If so, I would like to propose that the county pay his salary and let him go work there. Because the bottom line is, you all are being blamed to be the problem, but I think it's quite obvious where the reason is. And it's been nothing but a distraction from bigger things. He's got all his friends and family, his young Republicans showing up here, which are very, in my opinion, very ethically operating, challenged. They are. No, you guys, you stand up here and you bash everything and you pull all your shenanigans with your crap ads. But I think it's time that we start in old Republicans, and maybe some of us baby boomers can teach you young Republicans some ethics. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Please stay on topic. Please stay.
Yeah,
Please stay on topic.
Commissioner Woodcox is asking that folks stay on topic, so.
Okay, so Cody Seibel, Burleigh County resident. I want to go back to, we said accountability lots of times, and we said who's going to hold you guys accountable when, I don't remember who came up here and asked this, but it wasn't what he holds you accountable. That's not what we're saying. We hold him accountable, which we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be able to hold you guys accountable, but that hasn't happened because, like he said, there's a lot of people that have come to so many of these meetings and said, stop. And that hasn't been heard. So what's the checks and balances you guys are talking about? Because it sounds like there's a word that's coming up all the time, and it's control. It's not checks and balances that you want control. And here's the other thing I would tell you. When you split this many departments, you guys, in the military, you can't have that many departments without having a hub or meetings regularly. Having this all under one department right now allows continuity, communication, and having the finance department underneath there, they're all talking. They're holding each other accountable. That's what this is important to, and these should stay elected. And she's right. Every time that you take some power from us, this has happened since forever, you guys. Anytime the government takes power from us, you never give it back. You never give it back. This is inappropriate. It is a complete power grab, and I'm asking again. The other thing is I love your lip service, Brian, but it's lip service. When you tell me you're not going to add more people, but in paper, you're adding more people. We sat at the special meeting, and Julie had a whole bunch of different people that were going to get elected. There was 3 CPAs, there was another director. There was a list of people being added. We sat there going, I wonder how much money that's going to cost us on those salaries. We heard it, and I get that you're telling me you're not going to add anybody, but it's in the paper.
We're telling you
It's
that
lip
we're not
service.
adding staff.
Yes, but you've also told us that you're not going to attack somebody, and you've also told us that you've taken an oath to the Constitution that holds our rights. You're supposed to protect our rights. You're not supposed to take them away from us. This whole thing is taking away our rights.
How so?
Because you're taking our elected official and turning it into an appointed a position.
No, we're converting.
He's gonna be
Converting
elected.
is
We're
changing. Those are
separating
two.
the treasurer
elected.
duties. We're,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead. What's
treasurer
your
is being
wood cups?
appointed, but the treasurer right now is elected, correct?
no.
Let me make a quick point. We went to these public hearings, and a lot of you people were probably there for all of them. One of the two things that was emphasized, they want to keep the auditor elected. They want to keep the auditor elected.
With the
And this is, no,
understanding.
let me finish. We are still going to have the auditor elected. It's just going to be, powers are going to be changed. The treasurer is not elected, will not be elected, he's appointed.
But like they said, you're converting, you're taking all the power away from our elected official. So the elected, what we wanted to
here's-
say
here's
elected
the
was the
thing,
whole
Cody.
thing.
There is no power in that auditor's office.
But there is, because it's our purse strings. It's our tax money.
Yes,
Well, that's
it
why
is.
we're,
Good
yeah, that's
point.
why we're doing this.
Good point,
But
thank you.
that's our power. You see there's no power in it, but then
Don't
why do
know.
you want it so bad?
Don't
Why
you
do you
wanna-
want the
We
control over
don't,
it?
you're making accusations here.
I'm not making accusations, I'm asking you if there's
Cody.
no power in it.
Hang
Then
on.
why do you want it?
We don't want it.
But you're asking to appoint
We,
this individual.
we
that's
need
appointed.
somebody,
We're
we
not
need
appointing
somebody in that office that knows what they're doing. We need competent financial management for
Yep.
Burleigh County, okay? That's not what we have right now.
Okay, so there was an earlier
And so-
question that said, if there's all these accusations, have there been things that he has still not done? Or has he come around and made things right?
You know, I hear.
There are, but
I,
it goes on and on and on
yeah,
and on.
it just
That's in
won't
every
stop.
position,
You
you
see, the
guys.
problem is, it's just a continual train wreck with this.
Is it a train wreck, or is it just the lack of how you wanted the train to go? It's a different track. Because you're still
Well,
not answering
I
me.
can tell you, you know, I've owned my own company for what, I think 38 years. And I have certain expectations for money management.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have Burleigh County finances well managed.
By
we have
you.
to.
No,
But what makes you
Not by
guys,
us.
what makes you guys educated in this? Because you keep saying that he's
Well,
not educated in
I
this.
guess I know for a fact that at least for sure 4 of the commissioners at this table are business owners or have been.
So am I. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go run,
Do you hire a CPA to do your taxes?
yeah,
Why?
because I'm a chiropractor. Because that's not my subject matter expertise. However,
yeah.
does he also lean on somebody to do that part of the job? Because it sounds like he does. That's why I'm asking you, because you're telling me that we need to separate these all out. And you're not allowing for continuity at all. There's not going to be continuity. When you spread this out, this allows a lot of different directors.
I appreciate your comments, but I don't think you understand what we're doing.
I do.
We're,
But you're not answering me.
well, we're fixing the problem.
You're fixing the problem that you think exists as electors. And I've asked you again, what has he need corrected?
Yeah.
We're not gonna
I
change
don't know. I don't know how to answer your questions there.
Then I don't know why we're wasting this amount of money, time, and tax dollars doing this.
You know, this guy has
Mr.
cost,
Chairman?
the last, go ahead,
Don't
Commissioner.
you feel $4 or $5 million lost to the taxpayers is important?
I feel like the same thing that Charles said, where we rent this building at a pretty significant, awesome amount. What was the change to change that money? And realistically, if we're going to talk
Go
about
back,
government
let's stay on
spending, you
topic.
guys,
Let's stay on topic.
I am staying on topic.
No, you're not.
Because
talking
you're
about-
asking me about $5 million of an investment, but you're okay investing money in a building, purchasing a building is it necessary?
Yeah, it is.
How?
We already own the
We
building.
already own the building
I-
free and clear.
Right.
And so,
But I'm
you
just
know,
simply saying, when you tell me $5 million, that's a subjective amount, because even Curtis said, it's an investment, and yes, there were CDs that lapsed, but there was other priorities that were being handled in his office.
What
And it-
priorities?
yeah, what,
What
can you
priorities?
give me an example of what priorities?
Mark,
No, you're the one that's
You're
saying
the-
it.
you're talking.
because
See, basically, you're just repeating
No.
his comments.
No, I'm not repeating
And
his
so,
comments.
you know, we have
There-
documentation.
because I'm
Listen, we got a
saying-
lot of documentation, okay?
But you're acting like he sat there twiddling his thumbs like there wasn't anything else being done other than delinquency on investing money and not seeing these CDs. I guarantee there was a lot of garbage, like we said. There was a person that was in the office prior to, and you guys have said it too. There was a lot of things to fix in that office. And so when you come into an office, when you come into a new job, you have to triage that job as to what needs to be done first. And I'm sorry, knowing what I know about CDs, and there's a risk, there's wins, there's losses, there's profit, all those things. Those things wouldn't have been the top priority on my list either. I'm sorry, but I triage things.
Well, I think they would have been on your list if you were supposed to be the chief financial officer of the county.
But if it was your money,
Also,
it was your
the
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you guys are saying. It's very funny
Well,
that you don't think I understand money loss. I do. And so do the rest of our people. I'm just simply asking these hard-pressed questions where I'm saying, what has he not come to do? You keep coming up with that one thing. And I get that you think $5 million is a lot, but what did we just say our
Well,
Northwest budget is?
I'll give you another, for instance, that is particularly troubling, in addition to the approximately $5 million. Today, Burleigh County is not able to reconcile their books. Our books are in such disarray under this auditor that we can't, even with CPAs on the job, we cannot reconcile our books, which means the accounts in the books don't match the cash balances from banks and such. And I can tell you, that bothers me badly.
So this is just like
That is today.
Yep. So the audits that we've done on the public school systems, that can't match up. There are tons of government, different organizations, you guys, that budget.
Burleigh
books don't
County
match
books,
up.
listen, I'm responsible
When
for
did they
Burleigh
match up
County, and
before,
Burleigh
Brian?
County books are going
When
to
did they match up
reconcile.
before?
The last I recall was just prior to the deputy auditor treasurer leaving. So it's been in the last 5 months or so has been an absolute irreconcilable problem. Now, I have to take action. Okay? That's all there is to it.
But you're saying they're irreconcilable. When were they right? When were those books right? That's Brian, I get that these are tough questions.
I don't handle the books.
That's
See,
what
I don't even do accounting.
Right, but you're
I
telling
hire
me.
people that are qualified to
Yeah,
do that.
But you're telling
So-
me to date, it's his fault. But you can't tell me the start of it happened when he got elected. It happened before that.
We have an understanding of when it actually started, and I think we've made that clear.
When was that?
Well, once the longtime auditor and the longtime finance directors decided to retire, that's when things started. And that was, I think, a 2-year period with another auditor. And then he was, I think, elected to fill an unexpired term. And when that came time for him to run or not, he chose not to run again. And so we started to see the issues then, and it has just gotten worse. And both of those were elected auditor treasurers. And it took us a while, and I really got to thank the finance department for bringing all this to light. Because if it wouldn't have been for that, Burleigh County could be in some serious financial difficulties right now. And we're just not going to allow that, Cody.
My question is,
You know?
it sounds like it was a domino effect that started before Mark, and then you said, Mark, wave your magic wand and fix this. And when he couldn't fix it within the months that you told him to, I'm sorry, I'm totally
that's
playing-
not a fair statement there,
But you
Cody.
said it
We didn't
was
ask him to
used-
wave a magic wand. We didn't ask him to.
But you're telling
Matter of
me-
fact, you see, what we had an expectation of somebody qualified. Like if I needed my back adjustment, I'd probably go to a chiropractor. I sure wouldn't go to an accountant for my back. In this case, we simply have to have Burleigh County finances in order. We have to be able to. Lord knows what the state audit is going to show us this year. Our guys worked really hard to make corrections and whatnot, and we're just holding our breath on the state audit now. So we know that our books do not reconcile, and that is not a position for this board or this county to be in.
I get what you're saying.
Right.
I totally
We're
do.
fixing it.
Right, but it's not, this has been a long time.
Listen, yeah, it's been a long time. This particular auditor does not have a skill set necessary to do this job, okay? That's just simply it.
But
Doesn't
I've
have
asked-
training, doesn't have experience, doesn't have any sort of anything that applies.
But I've asked you, what has he fallen short on? What has he correctively done?
I can't find
Any.
Yeah.
Any
Commissioner.
Oh,
Okay.
this is very sad.
Commissioner
Okay,
Woodcox.
so I just have a question, really
You know-
quick, and then I can be done. But it's an elected position, and like they said, you pretty much called us all stupid because we elected a man. And here's the other thing, you guys, and I know that this doesn't maybe sit well.
Nobody called you stupid. Hang on, back up. I think you heard somebody else say, I voted for him.
So did I.
But you
Okay?
told us
So
that-
don't
but what you
go
said,
saying that
we did
we're
a-
calling,
we did a
nobody is
terrible
calling
job.
anybody stupid, Cody. I voted for him.
Okay,
So
so
All right.
the
And
comment
so do you?
then, if we
Okay.
would go back to what it was said, it was, I guess we did a terrible job with that one. Is
Mr.
how you
Chairman.
said when we
I
elected
don't think I
that
used the
official.
word terrible.
Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm just simply saying, like, this is an elected position.
Yeah.
And so the people elected this man. One thing that you guys are forgetting is this is a position that absolutely requires honesty and trustworthiness.
That's you're right. It does.
And where has that?
There is no trust within Burleigh County for this auditor right now.
But there is, because that's why I'm here. So when you tell me that there's no
Well,
trust, that's not true. Because I have trust.
Yeah, well, you keep on believing that, okay?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Couple of quick things that have nothing to do with finances. We run elections, and somebody was up here, said they run, and they're an election worker, and we thank you for the election worker. Well, three things, but I don't want to go on forever. Our election the last time we had was a major one. When you have presidential, we've got everything going, and there's lots of people are going to vote. Not a primary, but there are going to be a lot of people. About 10 days before our election coordinator, who was hired to do that, quit because they couldn't get along with the auditor. They quit. Now, another second, as soon as we got into the financial end of this, our deputy, his deputy quit and left us hanging, left you hanging with nobody of any experience running it. So thank God during the elections, our assessing department director had a lot of knowledge, been here a long time, and he stepped up and did the election. Really did a wonderful job. We thank God we got through that because elections are so important to everybody else. But those two things right there, they're not financial, but they're things that should have been done right. They were not done right.
Did we ask why those individuals quit other than personal?
Pardon me?
Did we ask why those individuals quit other than personal? They just couldn't get along?
Oh, sure. We got exit interviews, yes.
So was it that Mark was unqualified, or was Mark asking them to do something or to hold them accountable,
Well,
and they didn't want to do it?
We don't want to get into that.
You brought it up that they quit, and I'm simply saying, if I come to a position and I know what I'm doing, and somebody tells me to do something another way, and it's not the right way, or it's not,
Right.
it's questionable, the person that's wrong is usually the one that quits.
Well,
I'm
all I
just-
know is these two were very qualified. And they both quit. And there's got to be a reason for that. It's not because of payment or what they're paid or who. It's people who were their supervisor. It was the supervisor.
Yeah, it makes me sad that
If
you
we
guys
want to argue
think-
about that, our human resource, I don't know how much information you can release, but if you want to look, if you're legally allowed to look at their exit interviews, I'd like to see you do it.
I would
Okay.
like to see that.
'Cause
And it's
they-
sad to me too that qualifications, I see college graduates come all the time, you guys. Their qualifications are amazing. I wouldn't hire them. I wouldn't hire them.
Because of their qualifications.
No, because they're not good people.
Well,
They have questionable ethics that don't align with mine. And so if you're asking me if I elected an individual because of qualifications or because they actually coincide with my beliefs, values, and I know that when they're making a vote and they're making a decision, they're representative of my votes, my values. That's the importance of elected position.
Okay, thanks for sharing that with us. Anybody else wish to
No,
speak?
no, he's been up
Hang on,
once before.
hang on. No, anybody else wish to speak? This is a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak?
Hello, Commissioners. I just want to clarify a few things I heard. I was actually at home and I heard the meeting, so I wanted to come back. The tax equalization director has been appointed by this county commissioner for, I would guess, since they made a tax director position in 1980s. I've been appointed to this position as the tax director and will continue to be appointed to this as the tax director by this county commission until they no longer see the need for me to serve as their tax director or I get to retire. That position is not changing. No staff is being added in our office, and there's no staff necessities added in any of the other departments, whether the change happens or it stays elected. I just want to clarify that. There is no staff being added. And this position has always been an appointed official by the county commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Okay, thanks, Al. Okay, now you wanted to speak again, or is somebody else coming up?
Comes Travis.
Oh, well, we got a collision. Pardon me? We got a collision coming.
Go ahead.
How hard would it be to put qualifications on an elected position?
It's real difficult. We have to get the law changed tonight. I tried that this year, and it just
Legislature has to do it.
yeah, the
It's in
legislature
century
has to
code.
do it.
It's in the century code.
Yeah, I know how that game goes.
Yeah, so that's the problem with that.
And just one funny remark, I guess it couldn't handle it. You guys have said about 5 times today, stay on topic.
Right.
You kind of went off topic on her real bad there for a while, so stay on topic.
I don't know what you're referring to.
There you go.
I wasn't even going to speak on this topic tonight, guys, but I've sat up here and said before, we need somebody to be the voice of reason. The water is muddy. We have such bigger issues right now in the county that will actually benefit the county. I get it, guys. We talked about transparency. We've talked about accountability. We've talked about qualifications. We've talked about trust and confidence. We have issues right now that aren't being discussed that encapsulate all those. We have ETA discussion that we need you guys focused on. We have public health that we need you guys focused on. And you keep going back to this. Your mind is already made up. Split the office, gut it, and let the people at the ballot box and the petitions decide where we're going to go. Quit this nonsense. Quit coming back to it, twisting it, turning it. Quit giving people in the audience the feeling like you're listening. Because, guys, you're not. You have your minds made up. So let's get on with it. Do what you're going to do. Quit dividing the people. Because you know something? I came tonight to talk about the parks. I came to talk about public health. And I wanted to be heard about public comment. This issue's dead. You guys are going to do what you want to do. I hope, though, that after you went headhunting for this man, you also use those qualities that you've listed in other departments. Hopefully I get to speak later on that.
Okay, we're getting to the point where people are coming up and saying multiple comments. So
I just had.
we're gonna.
I asked a quick question earlier, but I have a couple more as other comments were made.
Okay.
So, just trying to understand. I haven't worked in a government office, so I don't understand. But I've worked in other businesses where it's oftentimes the case where the manager of the department doesn't understand the nuances of the job and oftentimes has never worked in the software, et cetera, because they're hired for their qualifications per se, not their experience in the job. So I'm just trying to understand, Mark, I'm assuming has staff that has qualifications that are CPA or et cetera, or has accounting experience or knowledge. I'm assuming that's the case, correct?
There's not a CPA in the auditor's office. We have a CPA working under us as the finance director, but it's a separate entity. And so there are a number of employees in that department. I don't have their qualifications on me, but I do know they have accounting backgrounds, but I'm not aware of any CPAs.
But I mean, since you can't control whether the qualifications of the elected position are, wouldn't it make sense that you can control the qualifications of the staff in that office? And therefore...
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
Right, and so wouldn't it make sense to have a CPA on staff if that's what you're worried about, is the qualifications or the experience of the individual?
Well, we have a CPA on staff.
No, but in the auditor's office. I mean, you're sitting here saying that there's not enough experience, knowledge, and qualifications, but you have the ability to control the qualifications of the staff, correct?
Yeah, and we actually do believe that the staff is properly qualified.
Okay, so...
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Woodcox.
Did you realize that in the time that since he's been auditor, the entire staff of his office has changed over, have quit, and we got new ones in there?
No.
Do you know that?
No, I don't.
What do you think causes that? It's not experience.
I don't know all the details because
Well, that's-
I have a
that's a
full-time
detail
job too,
that-
so I can't do your job and do my job. So, no, I don't know every detail
that's
of what's
one-
going on. Partly because you guys keep saying that you're gonna provide this packet of information of all of the things that are happening, and it never comes out.
It is
So-
out. It's
out.
available.
Okay.
It is available on the Burleigh County website.
Okay, so
And
that
it's
whole,
hundreds
that whole
of
packet that you
pages.
say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
I
all on
think
the
there was
website
also
now?
all the information that got sent to the Attorney General. I think there was like 476 pages on that thing.
Okay, so
there
that's
too.
all available
Yep.
now?
Yep.
Okay.
Always
Yep.
has been
Yep.
for a long time.
Well, I wouldn't say always, but yeah. But anyway, the point being is I guess, like I said, I'm trying to understand too. I don't know everything about, how an elected position interacts with salaried or employed positions, right? So I'm just trying to understand, how much does the elected position lean on the staff, being that the elected position may not have qualifications to do the job? And is that not kind of the norm in a government job? So just take your senator that's, your federally elected senator. Do they have qualifications? No, they lean on their staff a lot, or the staff that's provided to them, right? So is that not kind of normal? I guess that's what I'm asking.
But, Mr. Chairman, he did lean on his staff, and they all quit. So there you go.
Okay, so he has no staff in his office?
They were rehired.
Well,
we had replaced each one. Yeah.
And, in a good part of what we have moving forward is that we're concerned we're going to lose more staff.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are getting tired of going back and fixing the problems and fixing. It's just wearing everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
And we think the reason we're confident that we won't be adding staff is we think once they can stop going back and fixing the problems that are being created, that they're actually going to free up more time.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we may be able to get by with less staff when we get the right policies and procedures and whatnot in place.
Okay.
So
are you saying that Mark himself is the one that's actually like making journal entries and stuff, or is that largely his staff?
I don't know if I hope he's not doing the journal entries.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, so if he's not the one that's doing the actual busy work, where are the mistakes coming from then? It would have to be partly at least his staff, correct, that are actually doing the entries?
No,
I'm just trying to
It's real
understand,
difficult to blame staff when the management doesn't know
No,
what
I'm
they're
not-
doing.
I'm not blaming-
We're not blaming the staff.
I'm not trying to blame
We think the staff is
anybody.
doing their best.
I'm not trying to blame anybody, I'm trying to understand the differences of, management versus the employees, right? And again, like I said, I've worked in many positions where the manager doesn't know jack. The staff is the one doing the work. They're more just directing the workflow, right? And so is that what the elected position is there to do? Is the elected position there to do the daily work of making journal entries and so on?
Well, I think the safest way to answer that is that the person in charge needs to know what the job is, because otherwise you don't know if it's getting done or not.
Well, sure, in a general sense, but like I'm saying, like, you know, in a normal business environment, you might use QuickBooks or whatever, right? Does the manager know how to run QuickBooks in and out? Probably not. Their staff does that, right?
But he's the chief financial officer. It's his responsibility.
No, that's not the way it works.
Yeah, it is.
That's the way.
No, in a real business world,
Then
that's
who
not the way
else?
it works.
Oh, yeah.
The manager does not intuitively, if the manager comes in, they don't intuitively know the ins and outs of the software, right? No. No, they don't. I've worked in many big corporations. Right, and so the manager does not
Yeah, I think
understand
that,
the ins and outs of the software.
I'm not
That's
going to
it.
be able to help you understand that. Here we have a situation
They can. I'm just saying, there's a lot of instances where they don't, and I'm just trying to understand, is the role of the elected position to do the day-to-day work, or to manage the staff that is doing the work? That's my question. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay, I don't have an answer for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak? This is a public hearing. One more time, this is a public hearing. Does anybody else wish to speak?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Brandon Pritchard. I was a former member of the State House of Representatives. Appreciate your service to the county. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth. I haven't spoken on this issue at all in the public comments. You know, I guess I'll start with one question. Maybe we'll start with the chairman if you'll entertain the question. But would you name one thing in working with Mark Splonskowski, the auditor treasurer, one thing that you've appreciated about the auditor treasurer, or is it all negative? I've only heard negative in for 6 months, I've only heard negative. Do you have one positive thing to say about the auditor treasurer, or is it all attacks?
I shall have to think about that. Nothing comes to mind.
I can honestly answer, when I ask or when I call his office, he's about the most pleasant person I've get to talk on the phone.
I appreciate that. Does the chairman have anything?
No, nothing comes to mind real quick.
You know, I appreciate
Mr. Chairman,
that.
I have
Go
to,
ahead.
Commissioner Woodcutt.
I have to say in the last couple of months, I think his attitude has changed. I think he's trying to help us out. I've called several times on little things that I need to have done or questions about this or that, and he's been very good. But there's only been the last couple months, so now I think you'd have to agree. I come in here every day, walk through and visit with whoever might be available, and I think the attitude has changed. His attitude has changed.
Would you say that that's a quality of him adapting to what needs to be done?
Well, he hasn't done it in the last 2.5 years. I mean, he didn't
Well, he just
adapt
said
to
in the
anything.
last few months, though,
In the last couple of months, I think it's changed.
Okay. The last question I have for you folks, I'm wondering in terms of public perception. I mean, we had several people come up here this evening who, in their projection, in their opinion, and I think it's a very reasonable opinion. In fact, I think it's one of the only reasonable opinions on this whole thing, is that the commission is attempting to gut this office. I mean, is there no care about the public perception on this matter? I mean, I feel the same way, I'll be honest. I think that this is a clear illustration of the county trying to gut it. But maybe you have a different motive, I don't know, but I think that most people I talk to don't.
I can address that one for you. The motive is to protect Burleigh County citizens from losing money. We're not joking about this, millions of dollars. Now, I don't know how much money you want to throw away, but we take the finances of the county very seriously. So we've had enough. We need qualifications in the financial dealings for Burleigh County and its citizens, and we don't have that in this auditor. So, I don't know about your attitude about gutting it and whatnot, but the simple fact is we have to take the steps that are available to us to protect Burleigh County citizens and their money. Commissioner Bakken.
And as a former legislator, you know the constraints that are placed upon municipalities when it comes to having qualifications for those positions. And so, is it right, is it wrong? No, but that's what the Century Code affords, and that's it. Is it the path that I would choose? No. But that's what's left for municipalities, and you know that as a former legislator as well as anyone.
Well, that's what you've set up to look like and appear. And I actually, in terms of, and I hope you won't take this as an insult, in terms of political theater, it's incredible. Because the thesis that you had at the beginning, and I mean, I know that the opinions of a number of you has always been to separate those offices or get rid of the electability of the auditor. But the thesis of it, at the beginning of Auditor Splonskowski's term, was that the auditor position was elected and the treasurer auditor was one office. The antithesis was that you came up with a number of things that I believe are unwarranted. I mean, take, for instance, the lawsuit, which, by the way, is now the law of the land in North Dakota, HB 1165 passed. So the law that Mark sued on is actually now law. He was vindicated completely. And so, I mean, you've never apologized for that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
At the time he filed that lawsuit, he was wrong.
Well, yeah, but he's right now.
This ruling came out before they changed things. So he did not follow state law.
Well, I think you're missing the point of what a lawsuit is intended to do,
I know what
respectfully.
you're trying to twist here, but I just want to correct you that at the time that he was suing, he was wrong because that was the law. Now you are saying, well, see, he was right. They changed the law. That isn't the way it works. That's all I'm trying to tell you. You need to understand that. At that time, what the law was, laws change. Okay?
Sure, I get your opinion. My opinion was that there was a legitimate legal question that he had raised, and then I'll get off on this topic, but there was a legitimate legal claim that he was bringing.
Okay, that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss this resolution. That's all old news.
I had a gentleman.
That's all old news.
I had a gentleman just about 15 minutes ago call myself and my organization for a number of things which were not true, which you did not stop him for. But now you're saying that my argument is illegitimate because I'm bringing up the means, the reasons that you're trying to separate these offices. And I guess my point was the antithesis.
It really doesn't have anything to do with that lawsuit. That was just one thing among many.
That
there is so much documentation on this. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Chairman, if you'll allow me to say one more thing on that. You know, I used to be a member of forensics debate. One of the things that we used to do when we were losing an argument was give hundreds of pages for the opposition to read through.
Well,
respectfully, I think that's what you're doing to create an antithesis. And the solution is the middle ground to which you have created. The middle ground is separating those offices out. I don't know if you ever intended to make the auditor position elected. I'm sure that's what you would have wanted. But what you have ended up with is your solution that you have defined, which I don't agree with. I don't think majority of people in this room, and I bet majority of people in the county won't agree with it. And my simple question to you is, what are you going to do to address that perspective? And I don't think that you even respect that that's a perspective of a large population of people.
I think that's a perspective of yours. And I don't know that the people that I hear from, and I hear from a lot of people, have a difference of an opinion with you.
Yeah.
So,
I've learned that echo chambers are
dangerous.
dangerous.
It's easy enough to say that. However, we're doing I mean, I think that this commission has actually listened to the citizens by proposing a plan that keeps the auditor elected and appoints a treasurer that addresses the financial concerns of the county. I think it's a win-win for everybody. So you're welcome to have your opinion, man. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wish to speak on this item? Anybody else wish to speak? Third call. Anybody else wish to speak? Realize I'm not going to do that again.
I had to get rid of the baby, sorry. Jasmine Schneibly, Burleigh County resident. I know that you guys are probably going to do whatever you're going to do, and that's really not the point of my only comment here. But I would have to tell you that I am thoroughly disappointed by the lack of integrity I have seen in all of this, the name calling, and particularly the tearing down of Mark's character. I just want you to know it was really disappointing to watch, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else wish to speak?
My name is Kathleen Weiss. I am also a Burleigh County resident. I just wanted to be maybe the only one in the room that says, I absolutely understand the need to have a person who understands financial management, who understands investment management, and all the things that you are saying that you're looking for in the treasurer position, because we can't mandate different qualifications for elected officials. I think you guys are doing the only thing that you can do to do what's right for the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Munson.
Now that the public hearing is closed, I wanted to read a few items out of the AG's opinion when he sent back his letter to us letting us know that he wouldn't recommend prosecuting or asking the governor to prosecute the auditor for his for our concerns. And I want to just state out a few things out of this letter. There were 11 allegations with a number of documents that were provided. He is very specific in the fact that the allegations raise concern about Mr. Sponskowski's administration of his office, information security practices, accounting practices, and handling of payments to and from his office, I'm going to get to this, to file the lawsuit and other troubling matters of Burleigh County through the documentation process. So he's concerned that the information provided to him is a big concern for the residents of Burleigh County. He gets down into the letter and he talks about the fact that while thoroughly and well-prepared materials compiled for this matter illuminate troubling allegations and apparent professional performance lapses, the full evaluation of the facts with the gravity of removing of an elected official is not the right place to go. He does go on here to say that the process was well documented. And for you residents that are concerned about the stack of papers that have been talked about, the Attorney General came out and said that the State's Attorney of Burleigh County did the appropriate thing by filing the documents to the Attorney General for their opinion. The bottom part of his letter pretty much comes out and says, if Auditor Sponskowski chooses to run again for re-election, it is the residents' decision to elect or not elect him. So he is telling us that there's a lot of concern here for you residents to pay attention to in the next election. So,
Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have anything else to add? Well, commissioners, I guess the next thing would be a decision on the resolution and the plan. What are your wishes?
Mr. Chair, there was a conversation you and I had a while ago about the date of effectiveness.
Yes.
Do we have a clarification of that?
That's a real good point. State's Attorney Boyer, you had given us an opinion on the date that we could assign to this.
Correct. When I drafted the new preliminary resolution, I just left the date in as it was prior.
Am I gone?
Yeah, he's on. I just left the date in as that was prior for you to discuss. Since you're reorganizing the office and not changing any term of office or how the office is made by election, the change of date, the effective date can be at any time. Because you're just changing the job duties, you're not changing the term of office or the salary of the office.
Right. Okay, so then we could say effective July 8th, 2025.
You could.
And then it's a 30-day
No,
period.
nothing happens. The citizens have the opportunity to gather signatures and make a petition and what have you. And I don't know why, because they could do whatever they want. But we're listening. We're leaving the auditor's office under this plan. We're leaving the auditor's office and the elected office, which is what everybody wanted, or most people wanted. And we would be appointing the treasurer because we have to have those qualifications. So I think it's kind of a win for everybody, like I said earlier, especially for the citizens of Burleigh County. Commissioner
So,
Bakken.
Question then is, shuffling of those duties depending on when they're taking place, then what's the timeline for hiring a treasurer?
I think that we'd have to have additional discussions on that. I would advise that we do an interim appointment. And I think the most appropriate person would be the current finance director, because he is a CPA. And I don't think that we'd want to make that permanent. I think that there's policies and procedures that can be developed. There's been a pretty good working relationship with staff in that office, the way I understand. And I think that we'd want to separate. We want to keep the finance department separate for the same reason that it's separate now.
Correct.
So I think for an interim.
But we also don't want to be without a treasurer.
Right. And so I think we would appoint, I think there was a resolution. There's not, there's not a resolution concerning that, but I think one of the things we should do would be to appoint somebody to that position if we make that date effective essentially now. And I did have a discussion with the finance director, and he's comfortable with being willing to help set up the policies and procedures and make the improvements that he's been talking about for the last long time. So to answer your question, the date can be whatever.
Chairman, if I may, only simply because of the timing of the decision, would the budget duties be moving over to this new position as well?
Good question.
That is a good question. I haven't really discussed that with like HR or anybody. Anybody have an opinion on that? Whether it's Lee or Pam or. What are your thoughts, Lee?
Chair Bittner and Commissioners, we are ready to take on the budget. We've been working on the budget. We've been essentially drafting a budget. There were some, excuse me, some items in the preliminary budget from the county auditor that are simply not factual. So I would not advise using the current draft of the budget. So like I said, we're ready to do it, and we're ready to step in immediately.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. So I guess as far as I'm concerned, a motion to approve it with the effective date of, well, I guess today would be okay with me. July 7th, 2025 would be in order.
So the motion would be to split, right?
No.
The motion would be to adopt
The resolution.
the preliminary resolution. That would make it a final resolution.
Okay.
With the date change.
Okay.
And the plan with the date change.
Okay, I move to do so.
So the motion is to approve the preliminary resolution that we've already submitted. We just make it a final.
With the
final
date change.
Resolution.
With the date
Okay.
change.
With the date of July 7th?
7th.
7th, today.
Yep.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Munson.
and I've made this statement several times throughout these public hearings. I'm going to vote no, simply because I think they should both be appointed. I know that doesn't work well with some residents, but I really think they should both be appointed.
Well,
They
I
both should be-
appreciate,
That's my
I
opinion.
Both should
appreciate
be
you being
appointed?
candid.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being
Our
candid
original
about that. That
resolution,
was-
in my opinion, was the right resolution.
Yeah.
And we changed it to,
We had changed to split it. Because of the residents that came and spoke, we changed the resolution. My personal opinion is I don't think that's the right path.
The point's well taken. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
No.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. There were a number of other resolutions that kind of need to be dealt with.
Page 53.
Well, we have got 40.
Mr. Chair, since we have voted and that motion is passed, I will move that we appoint Lee Jacobs as the interim treasurer until we can go through the process with HR to hire a treasurer.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, and a third. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, on page 53, there's a number of other, where it says resolved. I think you could probably make that all one motion. But it's up to you, commissioners. What do you want to do with that?
The date says the 8th.
Tomorrow.
Okay, we'll change it to the, I would recommend changing that to the 7th. That could have been a typo.
Yeah, and the second resolved is the 7th, so.
Yeah.
If I may, Commissioner, I believe that they put July 8th at 12 PM because that's physically moving office, and that would just give time for that physical move to take place.
Oh, thanks. Okay, that actually makes sense. Okay. That makes sense.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Woodcox.
This second from the bottom says effective, the elected auditor is removed as a signatory on all county banking and investment accounts. We need 2 people to do that.
Yeah.
And who will they be?
It says in the next one who that is.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I read it and then I didn't read it, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's in order to maintain the checks and balances.
Yep.
The whole thing. So you want to do them all at one time, or one at a time, or what do you want to do? Commissioner Schwab?
I would say that this entire page of 053 should be approved.
Is that a motion?
That would be the motion.
Second.
And it's covered.
Okay.
Second.
A motion that page 53 be approved. Any further discussion?
Chair, if I may, as well, since you did separate the offices, I note that on the last resolution, it says resolved that effective July 7th, 2025, County Treasurer, Finance Director, Deputy Finance Director, and Deputy Auditor/Treasurer. Obviously, with that reorganization, that job would be different. We wouldn't have a combined Deputy Auditor Treasurer, so you might want to clarify that.
Okay, good catch. So would just moving the word from, what would be the fix on that? Just
Well, I think
Remove auditor.
I think the person would be the Deputy Treasurer.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So scratch, in your motion, Commissioner, would you scratch the word auditor from between deputy auditor / treasurer in the last line?
Yep.
Okay.
So move. I'll do that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Second.
With the change.
Oh, okay. Motion is, okay. I think you, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes. Motion carries. Anything else on that item, gentlemen, that we need to hammer out right now? Or obviously, we're looking at policies and procedures and things that are going to going to come before us soon.
Mr. Chairman, who's
Commissioner Woodcox.
with him moving from one office to another, who's going to be in charge of those auditor positions, all the auditors, employees?
Staff, that'll be the appointed treasurer
Interim.
under this,
Okay.
interim appointed.
Does that
interim.
mean he will move back over to
Yes,
here?
yes. And it actually kills 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. We're needing to move staff out of the Provident building to start the remodel, right?
Right.
And so that helps with that process as well. So we're gonna move them down here where they can do the most good on working with the staff in the office. They're gonna have to be like working very tightly together to straighten out this mess. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Also, when that move is taking and all the reorganization is going on, I'd like to give you, since it's your portfolio, discretion to do little things, just so you don't have to come back to the regular commission for little things. I mean, whether you've already got that authority, I think you probably do, but I want to reemphasize that there's going to be some discretionary things that are going to happen that we don't want to have to come back to the board and spend time and waste money and time. That
Consensus would be fine, or ignore it, I guess.
No, I ignore it. I don't, it's hard to know what would
Right.
come up
We
on a
won't
regular
know,
basis,
yeah.
and I tell you, you know me, I'm always as open with the board on everything that's
Yeah.
going on anyway. If there's a flash decision, I'll make sure that, you know, I'll check with at least one other commissioner, how's that? You know, before I would do anything drastic. Well, I'm not doing anything drastic anyway, so I have a pretty good understanding of the construction business and whatnot. And we do have a construction meeting scheduled. I don't have the date in front of me, but it's coming up pretty soon, so. Anything else on that? If not, we're gonna move forward. County Planning Director Flanagan, thanks for your patience. Special use permit.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here in the packet. On page 55 is was an application last month. It was a public hearing for the Planning Commission for Gene and Kathleen Luis to move a 1,700 square foot building onto their property from out on Highway 10 from 10750 Rushmore Road. Anytime you want to move a building within Burleigh County's jurisdiction, you have to get a special use permit. And so this qualified for it. We sent out the notifications of this public hearing. There was no opposition to it. At the June 11th commission meeting, there was voted 8-0 to recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? I was just going to clarify that last I heard, nobody has been offered any opposition to this.
No, not in our office. We haven't heard.
Commissioner Bachman.
And then everything's coordinated with the highway department as far as moving a building of that size and.
Yeah,
and-
it's a large building, but he's got, I don't know who the movers were, but he's already got them lined up. It's a nice building, so it's going to be on the.
Do we have to put out some notifications that a portion of Highway 10, the travel route's going to be altered for a little bit, or?
My office doesn't. We don't do that, but.
Okay.
Marcus, probably.
Mark,
Gene,
did you manage that, Marcus, or? How does that work with a large structure? Because that could take some time, so as far as diversions with Highway 10.
Commissioners, as part of the process, there'll be a moving permit that will be first filed, and then we'll review that, and then it'll be granted at some point. So
Okay.
we'll work all those details out.
Public notice, it's like half hour, road's going to be
Yeah,
down or whatever.
whatever needs to take
Okay,
place.
thank you.
Anything else on that?
the mover is also responsible for that consideration, so.
Yeah, okay. Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bitter.
Yes.
Thank you,
Motion
Commissioner.
carries. Thank you, Mitch. Next is Brenda Nagel, Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC presentation. Brenda, welcome.
Good evening. Give me just a second here.
No. Well,
Brendan,
a little breath of fresh air there.
it says spring.
Well, you know, I guess it was warm for a few weeks, wasn't it? Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for having the patience to get through everything that you've just gone through to listen to my update that is probably spring and heading into summer sort of update. But I'll try to keep it brief, but yet be informative so that you know what we are doing with your investment into the Chamber EDC. So as you are very well aware of, we have spent a fair amount of our time and energy working on workforce. It's critical to economic efforts, because if we don't have workforce to keep the motors churning, so to say, then we're not making money in the community. And so a lot of things have gone on in workforce development. I've narrowed it down to just a few things that I think are real critical for you to hear about. Internship Network is one of the things that we gave a try last year and received incredible positive response about. And what that means is we in Bismarck and Burleigh County have a lot of young people who come to our community to do interns from outside of the state of North Dakota. They are interning at Bobcat, at MDU, at Basin Electric, at NISC, all over the place. And they come from universities, some in North Dakota, but a lot of them, quite frankly, from outside of the state of North Dakota. And so what we have realized in implementing this internship network is that if we don't really get our arms around these young folks and help them understand the beautiful community in which we live, we have reasons for living here in Bismarck and Burleigh County. We want to make sure that they understand that when they go back to their college or university and walk across the stage and get their diploma in the next year, that they can't fathom not coming back to work and live in this community. And so we have to do some work in order to help them understand why they should live here. And so we've created the Internship Network, which is an opportunity for them to be connected to different people outside of just where they're going to work for their internship job. We find that a lot of them will just stay connected to maybe the engineers that they're working with, but they don't really get to meet any other people. The Internship Network activities allow them to connect to all of those interns across the community and do some understanding of what are you doing in Bismarck? Why would you consider living in Bismarck? We bring people who have made the decision to move to our community to talk to them while we're creating that networking opportunity for them. We held our kickoff session in June. We will hold another session here this week. We'll take them on the riverboat so that they can experience the Missouri River in all of its beauty. Hopefully we won't have bad weather during that time. But it again will have an opportunity to hold them as a collective, captive audience, so to say. They can't get off the boat once we're on the boat. And we'll talk to them what it's like to live in Bismarck and to be a citizen in this beautiful space and encourage them to come back. We did a lot of we did some surveys with the students from last year and even the students that are staying connected with us. And as you can see there, 94% of them felt that they learned more about the community and they've become more connected with us through these events. In fact, they've stayed connected with us after they went back to their college or university last year and are still continuing to stay in connection with us. We want them to come back and fill those positions. The Welcome Initiative was another item that we kicked off earlier this year, actually in the spring. And for lack of saying, it's like the welcome wagon of the old days. It is a little bit like that. We've often said that we are North Dakota nice. I don't know that we're always super nice to people that aren't like us. And that's a big statement coming from somebody who's lived here my whole life. We get busy. We go home, we go in our driveway, in our garage, and we open the door, we close the door, and then we do our things. But the Welcome Initiative is really about reaching out and extending an invitation to our neighbors, to the people around us, and saying, would you like to have a family picnic in our neighborhood? And getting to know who they are and where they come from and why do they live here in this community, to make them feel welcome so that they stay here, that they don't just come for a year or two, make a little bit of money and then go somewhere else. We want them to feel welcome. And so offering up some opportunities for them to meet people in a different kind of avenue, but also creating a website through the Chamber EDC that allows them to see what's going on. What kinds of committees can they get involved in? Are they interested in activities like softball, curling, all the different things that go on, whether them personally or their family members, getting involved with their church so that they can, again, be connected to this beautiful community so they feel like staying. So that Welcome Initiative, just on the Facebook page alone, has had nearly 24,000 views and connections, and we continue to see that grow. Workforce programs that we have implemented over the past few years and have continued to really drive home. The educator experience just took place last week was 4th of July, the week before. What we do is we connect with teachers in the Bismarck Public School System as well as the Mandan Public School System. We take 24 educators who have influence over our young people who are being educated here in our community. And we help those teachers understand what jobs are available so that when those students are looking towards their teacher for guidance and advice on what classes they should register for as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, those teachers can speak from experience. They can say, I went to an engineering firm and I learned this. This is what's available. I went to this particular place and I learned this. Because our educators are very good at what they do at educating the things that they're teaching, the math, the science, and all of those things. We have to keep them current on what's going on in the community so that they can help our young people understand what those available jobs are. We received incredible feedback from the employers that these educators visited, as well as the educators who went through the program. This was an entire week that they spent almost 8 hours a day for 5 days going to different employers around the community, gaining a better understanding. Leadership Bismarck Mandan just wrapped up and had graduates walk across the stage in May. Leadership Bismarck Mandan is a program that's been in existence for well over 30 years. That is a program that people apply to be accepted. We get close to 50 applicants, and we only accept 15 to 17 people in that program. It is intended to help those folks better understand what their community is. How do they get involved? Why should they care about coming to a county commission meeting? I know, Chairman Bittner, you've participated in a roundtable discussion with that particular group of people, and I know others at the table have also done that. They need to know that they can interact in a civil way with their commissioners, with their elected officials, and it's about teaching them how to, again, be an active citizen in the community in which they work in. Leadership Bismarck Mandan, when it concludes or as it's wrapping up, they break into 3 groups and they do projects that have an impact on their community. This year, 3 of the projects were really pretty focused on the Bismarck community. The Rewind is a podcast that is focused on engaging the younger retiree population. I don't know how else to say that, because there are people retiring in their late 50s to early 60s that, quite frankly, they still have a lot to give. They're just not going to work at the jobs that they were working at. And so how do we engage with that retiree population to help mentor people who are going into different positions? Maybe they want to sit on a board or run for public office. But this podcast is intended to really engage with that local retired community to tap into their expertise and their wisdom. Welcome to Bismarck sign. Those Welcome to Bismarck signs are old and falling apart, and they're not even in the boundaries, or they're way in the boundary. They're almost inside the middle of the city of Bismarck these days, and we've stretched out, as you are very well aware. And so a group on this Leadership Bismarck Mandan cohort put a proposal together to make new signs and get those going. Paw Patrol was a group who is working to help obtain a therapy canine for the Bismarck Police Department to help community members and their relationship with law enforcement. And so many times they do these projects and they don't cost the city or the county any money. They end up finding people, whether they're grants or people to help pay for things. But again, they are investing their time and their energy in the community. And the more they get involved, the more likely they are to stay and be a productive member of the community. And then our Student Leadership Network, I truly cannot talk about our young people enough in the most positive way possible. I think so many times we hear about young people getting in trouble and causing all kinds of shenanigans and whatnot, but by and large, we have a lot of really good young people in this community, good high school students who we want to hang on to them, and we want to make sure that they too understand what job opportunities are here. And so we expose them to different things in the community and help them understand how to be engaged as a citizen. Go get your education, even if it's a certificate. We're not talking to these students about just going to get a 4-year degree. We need students who want to swing a hammer and want to be an electrician, who want to be an HVAC person. There's all sorts of opportunities in Bismarck, at BSC, at University of Mary, and we want these people to know what those opportunities are so that they can potentially stay here and again, be a productive citizen of our community. Business attraction and development, because economic development is certainly incredibly important to all of the things that we do. The economic development team attended the EPIC conference. It's the Energy Progress and Innovation Conference, because everything has to have an acronym. I actually asked them to put that there because who can remember what all the acronyms are? But this was an important one. We were able to connect with over 1,000 attendees and over 200 exhibitors. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean we just shook their hand and got their business card. We actually now have their email addresses, and we can do marketing to them, with them. We can send them additional information and stay in contact with them to let them know what we have available in the form of bringing their business, moving their business to Bismarck. We want it to be here. We want it to be in our community. And we do that with marketing efforts using LinkedIn, Meta, or otherwise known as Facebook, website traffic, trade shows, and email. We stay in constant contact with these folks, letting them know what's going on in the community so that they can consider us as their place of choice. And then Business Boot Camp is listed there. We've heard from numerous small businesses over the last few years that say, listen, we know that the big businesses have lots of employees and they know how to do all that stuff. They know what it takes to run a business, but I'm a small business, and how do I hire an accountant? Do I become an accountant? We've had a lot of conversations about accountants in the last several months here at this table. But as a small business, we're talking about some people who have 2 employees. How do they do that? How do they make that work? The Chamber EDC is a small business. I'm the president and CEO. I bleed the compressor once a month to make sure that it still works. I blow the snow off the front step if it's not over an inch because the shoveler isn't going to come. My staff does all the things. We water the flowers in the front yard. Small business people do a lot of different things, but how do we wrap our arms as a community around a small business owner and help them be the most successful as they can? The heart and the heartbeat of a community that is successful is small business, and so we need to help them make sure that they are successful. I would have to say that Commissioner Woodcox, you have a small business. You don't own that business anymore, but it was here for a very long time. I would guess that you stumbled along the way to say, what should I do? Commissioner Munson, you are a small business owner. Commissioner Bittner, you are the same. This stuff doesn't just come across. I mean, we don't just figure this stuff out in 2 seconds. And so anything we can do as a Chamber EDC to help people better understand and grow their business and be successful helps us in this community. And so what we're working on as additional efforts, some things that happened during the legislature and we'll continue to focus on and work on. Affordable housing, I've said it before, what's affordable to me is probably not affordable to you or is a completely different definition. I don't know that any of us know the definition of affordable housing, but we know we have a problem. And we know that we have young people who struggle to try to get into a house and they don't want to be apartment dwellers for the rest of their life. And so how do we work on that? We did work with some folks through the Bank of North Dakota and the Commerce Department. We testified in support of a bill that was in front of, it was to be a part of the Commerce budget. It got swacked off at the very end. It was removed from the Commerce budget. It was intended to help allow communities to apply for funding to help put some money towards affordable housing. We'll continue to keep working on that. We don't take no for an answer very easily. So we'll continue to work with those people and see if we can come back with some different opportunities. Child care policy, we were successful in working with legislature this year in getting some additional tax credits for employers who are helping their employees with doing some things with paying for child care because they see the value of having the working mom, the working dad in the workforce, but they also need to make sure that they've got a good place to take the kids and in affordable child care. So we'll continue to work on child care policy so that we can keep people at work. And then recruitment resources for local businesses. We were the recipient of a grant a while back, and so we utilized that grant to help build some video resources that we can give to local employers, that they can use these videos to show what does it look like and feel like to live in Bismarck-Mandan. We've showcased the river, we've showcased different employers, different things in the winter. Yes, we have to tell people that we have winter here. We can't make a video and say it's always 97 degrees and sunny in Bismarck. We want to be realistic. And so we did create a video resource that we are giving to employers in our community to use in their recruitment efforts. If they're not able to find the people here, they oftentimes will recruit outside of the state of North Dakota, and we want to be honest about what it looks like to be here. So we're offering those resources up to those employers. That is my short but sweet update. I would stand for questions as always, and you know that the coffee's always on at the Chamber EDC. I welcome you to stop by and visit with our team at any point in time, and with me as well. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Schwab.
In your quest for bringing in business.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of a 300 and some acre data center trying to get into town here?
I'd like to say, Commissioner Schwab, that I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it because I come to the
And my
meeting.
question is, do you support it?
I don't know enough about that particular group to say that I support it or not. They've not reached out to us to ask for our assistance.
Well, you're going a long way around the barn here not to answer a straight question.
I don't know the people who are, I'm not aware of that particular data center.
Well, just on a
Commissioner.
side note, I thought they were supposed to be on the agenda for tonight, but as a continuation, it's for more informational purposes, but.
The reason I asked that
Yes.
is I got a call from a guy in Underwood, said, don't do anything until you drive by up here. It's terrible. The people that are close to it can't sell their property and stuff. And then I got a call from a person out of Lincoln that has visited the one up in Williston. Same problem. It didn't take me long to develop an opinion of whether you should support it, and I'm surprised you guys didn't. I mean, you're going to drop their property values. It's going to sound like an airplane coming through all the time. Hey, and you use more electricity because you can't open your windows in summertime. You got to use the air conditioner so you can sleep.
With all due respect, Commissioner Schwab, we do support data centers if they're done right. I think some of
Could
them.
you give us your guidelines and,
I'm sorry?
could you give us guidelines on how to do one of them right?
We attempted to do that during the planning and zoning portion where we gave feedback about the ordinance that you have accepted.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
This young lady jumped up. It's like she's got something that needs to add to this.
That's why I came tonight, was to talk about the data center.
Okay, we'll get to that thing. Okay, okay.
I think there's a big difference, if I might, Chairman Bittner. I think there's a difference between crypto mining and data centers. And there are data centers that are done horribly wrong in Williston. And there were some things that went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And we tried to say, let's not do any of
Well,
that.
basically what I'm getting you to say, would you push something like this in the hell with the consequences just to bring a business in? I would think you wouldn't, right?
No, we would weigh it out with, in concert with
not
the
trying to pick
commission
on you.
table. No, I'm a big girl, Commissioner. I am, so I'm okay.
You handled that really well, by the way. Commissioner Bacher.
Well, and, you know, that's one of the things that we're cognizant of. I know the city is, as well as the county commission is, what are the right fits for business coming
Yes.
into a community? Are they located in the right? That's why we go through the permitting process and planning and zoning extensively and change things as needed. We did that with Summit coming through the community or potentially coming through the community. We address those things ongoingly. So, because a business, potential business, is looking at coming to the community, you know, is it the right fit? Is it not the right fit? Where does it belong? Those are all concerns that we address here at the table, and I'm sure the Chamber EDC does the same thing when they show up to give us input on some of our zoning changes and some of our ordinances and how it fits in with the business community here, because I don't think anybody here is going to say that we're not pro-business. We are, but it's got to be the right fit, the right place, and what's in the best interest for our residents. So,
And that is true, Commissioner Bakken. Thank you.
Okay.
Speaking of businesses that aren't here, do you back Summit Carbon Solutions? I'm dead serious.
Don't answer that.
Because they're not here.
and they're not here. It doesn't matter.
Don't worry
Don't
about it.
answer.
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Hang on a second, Commissioner Woodcock.
I got a quick question. Do you work, we support Northern Plains
Northern Plains Commerce Center?
Commerce Center,
Absolutely.
and do you work with them all the time? Or
We do.
Northern Plains Development, I think it
No,
is.
Northern Plains Heritage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
you were talking about the Commerce Center.
I
the
misspoke,
development.
the Northern Plains,
Heritage area. There's a Northern Plains Heritage Foundation.
that's not the one I'm thinking of, though. Never mind.
That's the, with
I'll
the,
think of it.
with the mural.
Yeah, no, it's entirely.
Okay.
If
we
you
do-
think of it, Commissioner Woodcox, give me a
It's-
call and I'll.
They do development of housing in the Bismarck, five-county area.
The Lewis and Clark.
There you go. Now you're
Yes,
Lewis and Clark
okay.
Development
Just
Association.
throw me enough breadcrumbs and I can figure it out.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
As long as it's
I'm
not
a few
Summit
bars.
Pipeline.
Yeah.
right?
It is late.
So do you work with them is what I'm.
We do. Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Okay, great.
And, we would help to bring a viable project to this table if we felt it was in the
Great.
best interest of the business community, and the community of Bismarck and Burleigh County. But we would vet that out. We don't just take a call from somebody and say, well, this sounds like a great idea, let's get that in front of the commissioners. We have a lot of conversations first with a company who is interested in coming. And we talk about what is the process that you have to go through. How do you go through planning and zoning? What sorts of preliminary things do you need to consider prior to considering coming here? And for the record, we do have a data center that works very, very well on 43rd in Bismarck. It's called Dakota Carrier Network. And I've personally sat in their parking lot trying to hear any noise coming out of there, and all I hear is the cars driving by. And some birds tweeting. But they're very quiet, and that is, in my humble opinion, a data center that is done well and done right. And I think there's a happy medium, Commissioner Schwab, that we can figure out what's the right thing to do.
Okay.
That isn't 300 acres either.
I don't know that that's the right location either.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
See you tomorrow morning.
I'll see you tomorrow morning, yes. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your time, appreciate you.
Appreciate the information. Now, I don't have you on the agenda. Were you thinking that you were going to be on the agenda?
No, I was just gonna stand up for other business. I actually came tonight because I thought we were gonna be discussing the data center.
Okay. If you want to hold on until other business, we've got a couple items to kind of get through real quick, and then, we'll.
Would that qualify for other business?
Yeah, I think if you want to provide information, there won't be any decision on it because it's not an agenda item. But I think I'd be interested in hearing more information.
And just to note, I did reach out to Mr. White, which you talked to at the last meeting, and he said he did not have the information ready yet to be an agenda item for this meeting. That's why it's not on the agenda.
Okay, fine. Bismarck Burleigh Public Health Director Renee Mock, request for Burleigh County opioid settlement funds. Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Chairman Bittner and Commissioners. I'm here tonight to request funds from the Burleigh County opioid settlement dollars. If you recall, last fall in October, you had made the decision to keep the funds locally versus sending it to the North Dakota settlement dollars fund. And so as of this memo that I had submitted, the amount that is already collected for Burleigh County is almost close to $200,000. None of those funds have been spent at this point. Also wanted to mention that there has been no allocation plan submitted. That was part of the requirement for the legislation that was passed, is before any funds are spent, that an allocation plan has to be submitted outlining what the funds would be used for. And so just to mention that, as part of my request, I'm looking to ask for $50,000 from Burleigh County's opioid settlement dollars to support technical assistance for the development of a community triage center plan. Just to note, this is not for construction or operations of a facility. It would be specifically for technical assistance to look at plans and development, to come up with a financial stability plan, a governance structure, and some of the components that you obviously most likely have questions about, and our city commission has questions about as well. So we're looking for funding to support the effort. We have been through the request for proposals process. We were ready to offer a vendor a contract, and then we're notified that our federal funding that was to support that had been pulled back. Also, just wanted to mention, we did apply for the state opioid settlement dollars. There were a total of 59 applications for $8 million at the state level, and they gave out 18 awards. We were not selected to receive that award, so I'm here to ask for funding. We're looking for a total of $100,000 with a 50-50 cost share. Tomorrow night, I'm on the agenda to ask the city commission for $50,000. So.
Okay. Thank you, but before we go any further, state's attorney lawyer, it says here in the Century Code that there has to be an allocation plan prior to.
Prior to allocating the funds, and I don't know that you've come up with a plan at this point.
So before there's any additional conversation or
We have to
movement
have a
on
plan.
that question, we need to know something about an allocation plan that we don't have. So
I can speak to that. I did submit the one for Bismarck, the city of Bismarck. The initial plan for them was to have the Better Bismarck campaign go for addressing the root causes of homelessness, and then that was used as a match from public donations. And so it's basically just typing up a report saying what the funds are going to be used for. If this is something that you guys would approve tonight, what I could do to follow that would be a type-up report, and just submitting that online is all that it takes. I did it for the city, and I'd be willing to do that on the county's behalf as well.
no, we're not going to put the cart before the horse in any case.
I read this thing, and it looks the beginning of a immense undertaking, and I can't get a straight answer. somebody ever comes up to the health department and uses my home address, if you're gonna treat them, so I can't support it.
Well, I don't see any way that we
can't act.
Yeah, there's a law, you know.
Yep.
So it's, you know, you put the cart before the horse. Go ahead, Commissioner
I'm
Munson.
gonna take some responsibility here in this world because this is my portfolio. We talked about this last year, keeping the settlement here. I have not done my job to work with Renee to really, initially we were talking with the sheriff about using some of the money for a screener.
Right.
And so I didn't really move forward until that was
don't-
nixed. So
Don't be so hard on yourself
Well,
there,
but-
Commissioner, because I think an allocation plan is not specific to public health.
correct.
You know, I think the county's need for those dollars goes beyond public health. It's, you know, like the sheriff's department.
Right.
Law enforcement, state's attorney. I mean, there's a lot of things that are impacted by the opioid epidemic.
Yep.
In addition to, I mean, it's not just this one department. She just happens to be getting ahead of it with the request. But I think we need to have a lot more conversation about that, Commissioner Bakken.
So would it be within your scope, Commissioner Munson, to sit down with your portfolio and build that out and
Yep.
possibly
See
bring
what
it
it
back
is.
for next?
Bring it back up next meeting.
Yeah, I would include a lot, there's
Yep.
a lot
Yeah.
more to it than just public health.
Oh, correct.
Yeah,
You know,
can you
that's-
get it in 2 weeks or?
Now with me being on vacation this week, it ain't gonna happen till next.
Okay, maybe
A month.
A month?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
well, when you're
Yep.
kind of get it nailed together a little bit.
Yep.
Mr.
And look for
Chairman,
an agenda item, Commissioner Woodcock.
can we hear from the sheriff as far as allocation of these funds? Because we've had them for almost a year and we haven't done anything with them, and I don't know of any other projects we're looking at.
And I also wanted to mention that it is a requirement of the legislation that it has to be collaboration with public health.
Yes.
So you might not like that, but we are, you're required to work with us no matter what it happens to be. And we are working very well with the sheriff's department and a lot of the behavioral health issues and the police department. So you're well aware of what
Thanks for pointing that out. Becca, Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Munson's right, we had looked at that initial body scan machine. The technology is not there. We made a decision not to use that money for that. So it kind of came to a standstill, and then we came back before the board and updated the board that the money was going to be sitting there. I have spoke with Renee on this, and ultimately this board will have to make that decision. There is, you know, some good value in a triage center in the fact that anything that happens at that type of a facility would impact us in a good way at the detention center. Because one thing we find is sometimes when there's no place else for somebody to go, they put them in the jail. You know, especially, you know, these low-level offenses, you know, alcohol and drug addiction and withdrawal issues. So I think ultimately there is some merit to it. There is programs that we could do on the sheriff's side out at the detention center. A couple concerns I have is one, right now, if we were to implement more programming on our staff, and we've got some good programming out there, if we put more on our staff, I don't know how much more they can take. We're struggling, you know, to keep staff there. That's kind of a constant theme I've talked to you about. So some of the programs that we would like to see, we just can't get them done right now until hopefully the staffing keeps getting better. The other concern I have is initially, I think when we had the discussion on this fund, it was like $150,000, and Mark or Lee can correct me, but I don't know if there's a definitive timeline of when these payments come in. So again, my concern of starting this, and unfortunately maybe even with Renee's request, is I'm afraid if we implement a program and then all of a sudden we use up the money, and then, you know, now we're looking at, okay, how do we get this other money to sustain this program? And so I think that's something that'll have to be addressed even with this program. So kind of a long conversation, but basically, I think there's merit. You know, and at this point, I can't think of us doing anything in the near future here. And if we did all of a sudden solve our staffing issues and wanted to do like a medication-assisted treatment program more in depth than what we're doing now, I would probably be looking at going to the Department of Health anyways, and trying to get some of their funding for that. I think they have a little bit deeper pockets with their program to where we could sustain that, and they have spoke with us in the past. Hopefully that answers some of the questions.
Yep. Thank you.
So maybe Commissioner Munson, part of the conversation with Renee includes the sheriff?
Sheriff
Yeah,
and
I
state's
think
attorney
that's
lawyer.
State's attorney?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's real important. Commissioner Woodcock.
Kind of a unusual question. Halfway down the second page, it says warm hands off. What in the world is that? Warm hands
A
off.
a warm handoff would be providing information. So if I'm handing off a client to law enforcement, we would provide them with information and background information about that individual. We wouldn't just drop them at their doorstep, like a cold handoff would be dropping them at their doorstep without any information. So
Thank
there
you.
would be that information.
Learned something
sharing.
today. See?
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks.
We'll be in touch.
I guess you know
Okay,
what's
thank you.
next.
Thank you.
Okay, commission continued items. There's a public meeting, or a commission meeting, public comment policy on page 84 and 85. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? Is there anybody out there?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm here. One of the questions I had was on timing. How long can you allow a person to expound on what they want to expound on? And then we get another one that says the same thing. It leaves a lot of discretion up to the chairman, which I think is perfect, because we've got to have some kind of rules, but yet we've got to have a little flexibility too. But I don't think we need to put a 10-minute time limit or a 5-minute time limit in there, but that concerns me that we have, like we've had in our public hearings, they can get away from you, and we end up wasting their time and our time. Did I make my point? Did I have a point to make?
Yeah, no, I think you were agreeing with the thing of, you know, no matter who's the chair, I think that the chair should have the discretion of allowing, you know, something to continue or not. See, sometimes, you know, you give somebody 3 minutes and they might have 30 minutes worth of really good information. I don't know what that would be, but, you know, there are some things that go longer than 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and some things you wish were over right away, right? Anybody else have a?
Mr. Chair. So
Commissioner Munson.
we're still talking about having a period at the beginning or end of all of our meetings that anybody can come up and visit about whatever they want.
Anything.
Right.
We've also made the statement that
We haven't decided if it's at the
Okay.
beginning or the end.
Yeah.
I think at the end, under other, similar to other business, you know,
Okay.
is,
that way they've had a
That's
chance
the
to listen.
non-agenda items, is
Right.
other business.
yeah.
Mr.
Because
Chairman?
we've gone through everything that's on the agenda at that point. Go ahead.
The restricted says must be pertinent to Burleigh County, but then a couple up above says restricted to Burleigh County residents. Do those go hand in hand, or do we need both of them, or do we want to restrict it to Burleigh County residents only?
You know, we work for Burleigh County, so I guess,
I think that falls under the discretion of
What
the
if,
commission
what
or
if
the chair.
pipeline company shows up? Are they allowed to speak?
They should be on the agenda.
they should be on the
On the
agenda.
agenda, though.
This
There's
is for
really, you know,
items that-
people need to understand that we have an agenda for a reason, you know,
Right.
so that commissioners have the ability to research if need be, or to go and visit something, see something, get more details. I would caution people about reading too much into that public comment thing, because you need to have an orderly, decent meeting. You need to have an agenda that you follow. That's why we do it.
Mr. Chair, I think like the Crescent Manor is a great example from today. They approached us, they wanted to visit about it. If we had a time at the beginning of the meeting, they could have come up at that time, brought it to our attention rather than us putting it into the agenda like we did. If we have that time scheduled for anybody to come up and talk.
Great example of the chair having discretion to
Yep.
add that to the.
Yep.
To the agenda.
You know,
That's why it's in there.
You know, it worked pretty well at today's meeting to take what could have come up under other business, but to move it up to where we could hear it and whatnot. I hesitate to put it at the beginning of the meeting, because if you're not gonna plan ahead and get on the agenda, I don't think it's fair to everybody that's on the agenda to wait either, you know? I mean, gotta try to have some balance and fairness, I think.
And that's a valid point. And then they've had a chance to hear our entire meeting, to come up and address.
Because who knows, you might come across it, you know, like, when Travis, you know, he wanted to talk about the park thing, and
Yep.
then you had already, told me that you were gonna, you know, you were already addressing it.
Yep.
And so we had a little exchange on
Yep.
text, but, there was nothing wrong with that. It's just
No.
that we were already, you know, doing it anyway.
Yep. But it was great to hear from Travis at that
Absolutely,
point.
yeah.
And that was my second part of what I was gonna make a point of is, as chair, you have always been very gracious to anybody that wanted to address something in the middle of the meeting, to let them come up and talk.
And I would probably still continue doing that. I'm not so rigid.
Right.
You know, I think that, you know, like that lady that she jumped up because that's singing her song.
Yep.
Okay.
Slow down.
We can accommodate that. But no, you know, we're here for the citizens. That's really the whole point. So I didn't want, and nothing in that should be misunderstood as being overly restrictive or anything, because quite frankly, I believe that the chairman of this board can make that call, no matter who the chair is, you know.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yeah.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, item 12 is Auditor Treasurer Splonskowski, proposed August 5th combined city-county meeting. Mark?
Good evening, good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. At the last city-county joint committee meeting, there was discussion recommending that the full city commission and full county commission come together and discuss the ETA as well as possibly a couple other items, but mainly the ETA discussion. And there was some desire for the full cities and county commissions to meet. It was suggested that we meet at the August 5th meeting, which is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's already scheduled for that city-county committee meeting. So I was just wanted to discuss it with the commission to see if that would be a time that would work for you.
Works for me.
What day of the week was that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Pardon me?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
At 4?
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Well, and where this is going to start is, and it's probably going to run longer than what we typically run, it's more of a background and a history session of what the ETA is between the county and the city. I think there's a lot of miscommunication and lack of knowledge from a commission perspective, especially on the city side, to understand what we're dealing with the county and what the residents of the ETA are having to deal with. So the intent is the first one to be, because we're not going to solve this in one meeting. Commissioner Bittner and I have worked on this in the past for a long time, and a lot of it comes back to staff and commissioners knowing what they need to know. So my intent is kind of, the first one's going to be more of a history lesson, knowing some of the nuances, getting rid of some of the misinformation is out there. I heard one city commissioner say, well, either party can opt out. Yeah, and you go to the 4-mile limit. We have an agreement that it's 2 miles. The residents within that 2 miles are still dealing with a lot of issues. the jurisdiction for fireworks. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I think it starts with an educational session, and we can move forward from there, but it is something that requires the full, and I would say full, not just a quorum, of commissioners on both sides. Because we need to come up with some solutions. This has been hanging out there for a long time.
Residents are getting angrier
Yeah.
the longer we let this thing sit out there.
And there needs to be a path forward, because as Bismarck grows, a lot of residents within the ETA are gonna wind up being city residents. There's constraints on the ETA just because of engineering issues and roads, and it's gonna be hard when 2.5 acre lots are in the city, and we have to make sure that the residents that are county residents at this time have a path forward to becoming city residents, whether it's 10, 20, 30 years from now, but they're gonna be protected and not put out and get assessed in a way that is going to be really troubling
I
when a
gotta tell you-
2.5 acre lot comes up.
Yeah, I
'cause
got to
it's
tell
gonna
you
suck.
one of the things about that. I was reminded when the chiropractor was here talking earlier, because last week I went to a chiropractor, and prior to that I went to a dentist, and in both cases their offices were located on some of these large lot rural houses that they just knocked them down and built a real nice business on this big lot with a big parking lot, and it was just like, it was actually pretty beautiful, And so, there's things that you can do that not everybody is going to have a problem with a large lot,
Well,
I have a little bit of
residents
concern
will when
with-
they get assessed, so
Oh,
that's.
yeah, well, that's-
And there was an
that's
example
the
of
whole-
that down south,
Yeah,
south of
absolutely.
Burleigh Avenue, where
Absolutely.
someone in the ETA that wound up getting sucked into the city because of a development, wound up getting assessed times 6. Because the
Yeah.
city said, you have 6 lots.
Yeah.
They had 1, and they lived in the middle of it, and they
Yeah.
were there first.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know
things
that.
like that.
I know that family.
Yeah.
It's my brother's in-laws. But now you said it's on the 5th, and it's at 4, and there's
Correct.
another meeting after that. So
No.
it would.
I would have to check the schedule of the Tom Baker room. I don't know that
City
there is.
council isn't after, I don't think. this-
I don't know that they
No.
typically schedule them to be after these meetings, because
No.
this meeting is already scheduled.
Yeah, this
As
is
far
a
as the
regular
city county committee, but they want to make it into a full city county commissions meeting.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. My concern was that it was just, that short, if it was only an hour, and say, you weren't done kibitzing.
No, we'll have time to run over a little bit, and staffs will be able to provide all the information, so, Mitch will be part of that as well, so.
Just in general, my schedule doesn't allow for a lot of extra meetings, but
I
we'll
know.
make it work.
I know, but this one's important, so.
So would I be able to let them know that we'll have at least a quorum of county commissioners, if not all of you?
I will be there,
I'll be there.
so,
As far as I know, so open on me.
yep.
I think that's the best we can do right now.
Okay, I'll let them know, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
quick other business thing, are we on that?
Yep,
Yep,
that's
okay.
what we're on.
Last Monday, a week ago yesterday, we had a dedication ceremony of the Bismarck Municipal Courtroom to Judge Severin. It went very well. We had about 100 people there, and he really appreciated it, and it was very well done, so I just want to make you aware of that. That's now, I did give him a bad time about parking tickets, and the rent wasn't paid and stuff like that, but it really went well. He appreciated it.
Yeah, that was my issue, that parking ticket.
Parking ticket.
I'm over here for a meeting on expanding or remodeling courthouse space, and the meeting went over, and so I've got a ticket right out here in front.
I got
Well,
one.
I'm at a courthouse meeting, I'm getting a ticket.
I had
for being at
exactly the same thing happen the week we were planning his ceremony, and I got a ticket out here right in front, so.
Yeah.
He can't fix it for me anymore, but.
Yeah, they don't, I guess, just so everybody knows, commissioners don't get a get-out-of-jail-free card.
No, we
don't.
I had one, but they didn't like
Don't
it.
They didn't like
forget
it.
our lady out here.
Yeah, We're gonna give her a chance.
I paid a lot of tickets when I was mayor.
Yeah. Okay, now, you know, we want to keep it brief, but you're welcome to,
Okay.
give your name for the record, please.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Kimberly Brewer.
We're gonna need to turn that on.
This is my first time.
There you
go. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Kimberly Brewer, and I'm a resident of Burleigh County. I did come tonight thinking that we were going to be discussing the data center proposal for the 300 acres at the Missouri Valley Complex. And so that I have concerns environmentally about noise pollution and air pollution, and the fact that they're asking for 300 acres tells me that it would probably be a very large complex and could impact our environment. And then secondly, I came as a representative of Buckstop Junction, and we're a nonprofit historical building frontier town, and so we have a lot of history, and that's another concern that I have for that request for that land.
Great.
So.
All right. Thanks for taking
it out.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to show up, too.
There is a point to be made here. You know, when a person is so vague about what they want to do, they haven't decided yet, and get 300 acres, it's pretty hard to stop them afterwards. And like I say, I'll be going up to Underwood to see how that happened. But I am concerned.
Well,
300 and some acres, a lot of land.
That's a
and
lot of
a
land.
lot of fans, and they don't tell you anything. Well, might be this, might be that. There'll be 3,000 workers, and then it's 325, and then AI will take over, and transformers or whatever. So the thing about it is, got to be very careful with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very careful.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We also know that right across the street from you on the north is a section of land that's owned by the state of North Dakota school district, school
Okay.
land.
School trust land.
They're looking at that right now, and that's gonna be up for sale, and they're gonna make a bid on it, from what we understood before. So as far as you're concerned, you might wanna follow up on that too, but I think you can see a consensus from us that it ain't gonna happen on county property.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your patience. Anything else under other business, commissioners? Commissioner Buck?
Anybody from Summit here? All right. No.
They
All right,
left.
we're good.
They left.
Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Are we quitting?